It's been called the biggest challenge of the season because for the first time ever, the NASCAR Cup Series is racing on the road course at Daytona. It's never been done, and they don't have any practice laps to rely on. It's Daytona like the fans and the drivers have never seen it before.
First couple laps are going to be pretty crazy just because of the unknowns.
I mean, who knows what to expect?
I expect madness. It's going to be crazy.
Survival will be key.
There will be cars off the track on that one, no question.
I think this weekend is going to be a big-time challenge for everyone.
Most of the field's never even raced on that track, so it's going to be pretty crazy to figure out.
Do you A, jump around the guys in front of you that don't have a clue either?
I've never entered a race where you literally just have no idea what to expect.
Or do you just kind of back it down a little bit and tiptoe?
You can be on the simulator all you want, but until you actually are there and see it, it's a whole different thing.
I think it's going to be a challenge. I think it's going to be a fun challenge.
Welcome to the NASCAR America pre-race show presented by Progressive. Daytona was scheduled to be the final race of the regular season. That will still happen in 2 weeks. But today, the Daytona road course replaces Watkins Glen on the calendar changed by the pandemic. Something else that can change quickly at Daytona in the summer, the weather. Teams had to deal with lightning delays yesterday. We are prepared for it should it happen again today. Welcome to NASCAR America, presented by Progressive with Brad Doherty and Kyle Petty in our NBC studio. Kyle, the best drivers in the sport walked to their cars today completely unsure of what is about to happen. So what are you anticipating, if you can anticipate anything at all?
Well, let me say first that everybody in America is concerned about sending their kids back to school during the middle of all of this pandemic. If the NASCAR drivers, if the Cup drivers didn't go to school on what went on yesterday, shame on them. I am looking forward to some exciting stuff all day long, man.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. And I think the thing, if you sat and watched the race yesterday, which the majority of these drivers did, you know, looking at that bus stop, the incidents in the bus stop would be very concerning to me. I would like to know if they were able to fix some of that. And also, could this possibly become a fuel mileage race? But this bus stop activity, look at this. This is unbelievable, these hits some of these drivers took through the bus stop.
You had veterans going off course.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, as we watched this thing yesterday and watched it unfold, I don't think there was a single driver that didn't make a mistake at some point in time. A.J. Allmendinger, a guy that we count on and we see here, who knew that a helmet replaced a mask during the pandemic? I mean, that was Justin's excuse for leaving his helmet on. I didn't have my mask with me, so I love that, man.
So now when you see Kyle Petty in the grocery store, look for the guy in the helmet. That's now what he's going to do.
That's exactly right.
You had the money line car of Austin Cindric cashing in, tying a record set by Sam Ard way before Cindric was even born. And while those closing laps were happening, Denny Hamlin sent out a tweet. He put out this comment, which sort of sums things up, Kyle, because he's starting on the front row, he and Kevin Harvick, and he basically said, don't follow me, is what he said for today's race.
Listen, every fan should take notice. When a driver the caliber of Denny Hamlin already puts a disclaimer on his work today, that says a lot. I mean, these guys, there's so many things that they can't count on, that they don't know what's going to happen when they drop the flag, even though they did watch the Xfinity race yesterday.
And it proves, like you guys just talked about, drivers were watching just like you were at home to find out what would happen. Well, one driver who won't be in the race today, Austin Dillon. He has tested positive for COVID-19. Dillon will follow the same protocols as Jimmie Johnson, requiring 2 negative tests 24 hours apart and documentation from his doctor before returning to the track. But unlike Jimmie Johnson, Austin has a win. Therefore, he's in the playoffs. Now, Kaz Grala will make his Cup Series debut in the number 3 today. He finished 4th in last weekend's Xfinity race at Road America. So that's catching you up with the news. Just 4 races remain before the start of the playoffs. Only 2 different locations, Daytona and Dover. Kevin Harvick leads the way with 6 wins this season. William Byron holds the final playoff spot. Eric Jones and Johnson are scratching and clawing. Eric Almirola is in good shape, but he wants in with a win. Dave Burns is with him in Daytona. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Krista, of course, the first question we have to ask a man with 2 school-age children is, did you go to school on what happened yesterday in the Xfinity race?
Yes, I did. I watched a lot and just try to pick up on little things, but then try to pick up on the big things like what not to do, the mistakes, like where are the trouble spots. Obviously, the bus stop, if you make a mistake back there and get in the grass, you have a really good chance of ripping the whole front end off your car. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to get into turn 1 too hot on a restart. You know, just those things that we, you know, tend to make mistakes on regularly anyway. But then when you've never been to a racetrack, you don't really know where those areas of mistakes are. So I watched a lot in the Xfinity race, just being prepared to learn for those areas.
So what's your mindset going into this? Because you're obviously comfortable on points, and yet you'd like to get in with a win, but there's so much of the unknown out there. Is it just a good day not to destroy things?
Yeah, I mean, I think with where we're at in points, you know, we can certainly afford to have a bad day, but we don't want one. And that's kind of the mindset going into the race today is really just be mistake-free. Keep our Go Bowling Ford Mustang on the racetrack. Don't wreck, don't tear the nose off of it going through the grass. And if you do that, you might actually find yourself in position when it gets late in the race to actually have a chance to race for the win. You know, so that's kind of our mentality going into the race, is just take the first stage, learn the track, learn the braking zones, learn the grip level of the track, how the tires are falling off throughout the run. And then from there, you know, start going to work on racing.
All right, Eric, appreciate it. Good luck today. KP, I think the answer is he went to class, but I think the race is still going to look a lot like recess.
So, see, Dave Burns was listening to Kyle's opening comments. I like that. You see Eric Almirola wearing the Go Bowling mask. Go Bowling, today's race sponsor. So what did you learn, Brad, from what Eric Almirola had to say?
Well, just watching Eric, just this entire season, Krista, he's been outstanding, very, very consistent every week in and week out. You know, he came into Michigan a couple weeks ago, and he only had 1 top 10 in his entire racing history there in 17 races. He broke that streak, got that second top 10. Same thing for his road racing, only 2 top 10s in 19 starts. But with the consistency I've seen from Eric Almirola and Mike Buravitz, I think he gets it done this weekend. I think he is the sleeper in the field, and I like the fact that he's concentrating on staying on the racetrack. That is a huge plus mentally if you can just get yourself to focus on staying on the racetrack.
Yes, and he said he watched yesterday. He went to school on that. You know, Eric is not known as a road racer. He's a speedway racer. And we've seen these guys put together some great runs lately, and that consistency factor. Listening to what Eric had to say there, it seemed he had a whole list of don'ts. Don't do this. Don't do that. The one thing that all these guys have to do is don't take for granted that somebody from behind you, way back in the pack, is going to sneak in and win this thing. Because you've got Reddick, you've got Bell, you've got Jimmy Johnson, you've got guys outside that top 16 that can jump in and take a road course victory here at Daytona.
All right, you guys are giving them a lot of lessons, a lot of tricks for today's race. Coming up, Martin Truex Jr. is one of the odds-on favorites to win today because he rules the road courses. And Steve Letarte may have insight towards Martin's approach. Rutledge Wood hung out, socially distanced, of course, with drivers yesterday. He chats with Kyle Busch and IMSA racer Jack Hawksworth to find out if Kyle's Rolex 24 experience gives him an edge today. And Wally Dallenbach knows how to win on the Daytona road course. He takes us for a lap around this 14-turn circuit. NASCAR America is brought to you by Progressive. Stay on track with great rates at Progressive.com. Getting gear for race day. Check out the greatest selection of T-shirts, hats, die-casts, and more from all your favorite drivers. Visit NASCAR.com/shop for all of your gear. Here is today's Progressive Safe Driver. It's Kevin Harvick. He continued his success by winning both races last weekend in Michigan. Harvick now leads all drivers with 6 wins this season, and they've all come in the 18 races since the break. A victory today would give Ford their 700th all-time Cup Series win, and Harvick starts the race from the pole. Drivers today will be flying around the left and right turns, plus a new chicane put in specifically for this weekend due to the high speeds and heavy loads out of NASCAR's Turn 4, which is 13 and 14. Today, it's a lot to keep track of, this track layout, so we called in an old friend. Wally Dallenbach is back.
Well, welcome to Daytona Speedway, the road course. And yes, NBC has pulled me out of storage to take you around for a lap. Turn 1 is pretty deceiving. You can pull in a lot of speed here. Downshift, it's a real slow corner, but it's very deceiving. You can go in deep. You want to get really tight here. This little zigzag here is not really a spot you want to run side by side. Leads you to a little bit of a short chute that goes into the horseshoe. This place right here is all patience. You run in too hard, the car's going to push. It's not going to turn. If you get on the gas too early, your car's going to get sideways coming out of here. It's a really frustrating turn. Short chute now that leads up to the kink. You're going to be carrying a lot of speed through here. Most of the guys, I'm going to say, are going to be lifting. Breathe the throttle, make sure the front tires are going to stick. When they do, get hard on the gas again, and then you're back to the west horseshoe. Same deal. Takes forever to get around this corner. It's slow, but you really can't get aggressive because you'll lose a lot of time. I've been through this next corner a couple of thousand times, and I never feel like I've gotten it right. So I really can't help you. You're on your own here. Drive right up the racetrack, up the banking, right to the wall. I try to get as close to the wall as possible and then back down. Out of turn 2 here, that's going to lead onto the backstretch. You're going to see a lot of side-by-side here. Coming into the chicane, this is a great passing place, but you've got to time it right. You don't want to come through here side-by-side. So if you're going to outbrake somebody, you try to want to get by them or almost by them. If you don't, the guys behind you are going to make up a lot of time, and they're probably going to pass you here. Now, normally when I get to this part of the banking, the 31 degrees banking at Daytona, I kind of like to take a moment for a selfie. Now we're coming to the last chicane. This is new to everybody, even myself. You're going to be really getting on the brakes here, downshifting. These guys hit these bumpers. There's going to be a lot of damage. Out of the chicane and back to the start-finish line. Now, if it rains, you can expect a lot of chaos. And if you don't believe me, well, you wouldn't be the first.
Wally was perfect, man. And I have to admit, he sent me that selfie. So that's legit. That's Wally Dallenbach. I just hate he wasn't in his clown mask when he was driving this thing, because that's the way he usually is. But that's a great explanation of what this race course is, how tough these corners are. It looks like it's just an infield road course, just laid out in the middle of a 2.5-mile racetrack. But it's very technical in some of these areas. And listen, just as Wally said, if we get weather, throw all that out the window, because you know nobody has any idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's a couple things that really stick out to me as I watch that. First of all is turn 1. You know, I had 2 really good road racers drive for me in the past. One was Marcus Ambrose and, of course, A.J. Allmendinger. And the one thing that Marcus Ambrose always told me is he always looks to pass at the low-speed areas on the race course. Everyone else is trying to pick them off in the particular spots. He liked to pass when guys were slowing down, trying to be cautious. And the other thing, when you're talking about the bus stop, Marcus Ambrose loved to try to make that bus stop or kink as straight as possible. So use those turtles in order to run as straight a line as possible. I'm looking at those areas on the racetrack, and I think the proficient guys we have in the Cup Series today will take advantage of those areas.
Bus stop and turtles, always words we like to hear on a road course weekend. Rutledge Wood was with these drivers yesterday through the magic of technology, and Joey Logano may have given Rut the line of the day. Hey, Rut. Hi. Can you tell new viewers what Joey said?
I sure can, Krista. Great to be with you guys. He said it seemed like we needed the Benny Hill theme music yesterday with all the insanity we saw, and that's for sure. You know, when so many people think about Daytona and NASCAR, they think about family road trips. So that's what today's Hey Rut Brady Bunch Wall is all about. Take a look. We got some great pictures here. Let's start right up top with Brett Korth. He brought his parents to Phoenix for their first race this year. Camped out, had pit passes, had a great time. Shawn Michael and his friends drove down from Indy dodging snow for their first Daytona 500. Michael Palmer took his family to Homestead last year. Got pictures with 2 champs. We got Claudia and her cousin road tripping to Phoenix for their first race. She says the best weekend ever. Right down here, hi Ryan, that's Ryan Carroll. He always camps at Watkins Glen, but since they couldn't this year, they had to pull it out and camp in the backyard. JD had a staycation with his family at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. So much fun there. Gwen took the family to Daytona 500 this year. So cool. And Keith McGee, our buddy, the K&N West driver from Alaska, he was at the Roval. Now, coming up a little bit later, we're going to see Kyle Busch and Jack Hawksworth. Jack, of course, IMSA driver. Since he was one of Kyle's teammates at Daytona this year for the Rolex race, we're going to talk to them, find out if Kyle learned anything that's going to translate and help him today. But don't forget, send us those pictures, your questions, anything you got using hashtag HeyRut. I'm so excited. Kyle's back. There's an Andretti on the pole at the Indy 500. Krista, this day just gets better and better.
It's going to blow your mind, Rutledge. We haven't even started the race. Thanks, Rut. Kyle Busch and his fellow drivers will add another chapter to the rich history of road racing at Daytona. Nate Ryan takes us on a trip through time when we come back. NASCAR America is brought to you by Progressive. Stay on track with great rates at Progressive.com. The Indy 500 is on NBC. It's a new date, but the same feeling for the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500 next Sunday at 1 Eastern on NBC. Qualifying just wrapping up right now over on NBC, and you heard Rutledge say it, Marco Andretti. He backs up yesterday's fast lap in today's Fast 9, and Andretti is on the pole for the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500. Of course, that's the greatest spectacle in racing. At day's end, what will they call this race on the road course for NASCAR? It's a course that has a long history for drivers of other series, so much so that NASCAR's best have made cameos. Nate Ryan explains.
When the Cup Series takes its first green flag on the other layout at the World Center of Racing, it'll be the latest chapter in nearly 60 years of history on the Daytona road course. The home of the renowned Rolex 24 at Daytona started in 1962 as the brainchild of Bill France, who wanted his pristine new Temple of Vroom to command global attention.
Goodyear blimps eye view of the Daytona International Raceway, capital of Bill France's stock car racing empire, now converted to a road racing course.
A road course was the twisting path toward attracting automakers worldwide. By 1966, Daytona was hosting a 24-hour endurance race that became a flashpoint in the Ford versus Ferrari wars.
Is this the kind of a team that can win at Le Mans?
I think this is a team that's going to win at Le Mans.
And a precursor to the star power that flocked to sports cars at Daytona. Dan Gurney, Mario Andretti, and A.J. Foyt are among the many who won here. And NASCAR stars soon were trying to do the same. The Earnhardts made a run with a Corvette in 2001.
Are you enjoying it? You getting a kick out of this?
Bigger kick than you'd believe. A.J. Allmendinger won the overall in 2012. And Jeff Gordon in 2017. Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, and most recently Kyle Busch all have raced the Rolex 24. Now, some of those names could make NASCAR history on the same road course. If the Charlotte Roval is any indication, the action could be wild.
And leaders reckon stay left, stay low, get low, get low, get low.
You often are only as good as those in front of you on a new track. And a new tradition for NASCAR. But it's the same Daytona, and those extra turns have been around for a very long time.
You heard Nate say some drivers have laps on the Daytona road course, not in a stock car. And here you see the long list. One of those is Michael McDowell, who has made several starts here in a sports car. He rolls off 30th today and is standing by with Dylan Welch.
Yeah, Krista, he has lots of laps around this race course. Not this exact configuration, but plenty of laps, no doubt. So, Michael, with as many laps as you do have, road courses always are an opportunity. How much do those laps add to your level of optimism today?
Well, definitely. I mean, anytime we come to a road course, you know, we feel like we have a shot at running in the top 5 or top 10. But coming to Daytona, where I have a lot of experience and no practice, no qualifying, you know, it's the best 40 drivers in the world. So I wouldn't call it an advantage as much as it is less of a disadvantage. But excited to get out there. We got Chicago pneumatic compressors on board, and hopefully today's the day.
Starting 30th, what is your level of caution in the early laps before you just kind of go to the whip and really kind of start to carve your way up through there?
Yeah, I think that first lap, you got to be real cautious. I mean, nobody really knows where the brake zones are, and I'm not so much worried about aggression as I am just guys making mistakes, locking up and crashing into you. So you got to be cautious, let it fan out a little bit, but we can't stay back there very long. We got to get to the front, and that'll let Drew work his magic on strategy and hopefully get track position.
He's one of the best road course racers in this field. Do not sleep on that 34 car today, Krista.
No, and at the start of the show, Michael McDowell's the one who described this as madness, what we're going to see today, Brad. But no question, I mean, when we talk bubble talk, McDowell's not in that conversation. It's Jones, Johnson, Reddick, Bell, just outside the cut. But Michael McDowell has a legitimate shot today with that road course experience.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Michael McDowell actually drove an Xfinity car for me back in the day, and he is incredibly smooth. And the one thing he does really, really well is he takes care of his equipment on a road course. I like him starting 30th because he gets to watch for a little while, and then he'll get to work his way up through there. So I'm expecting big things out of Michael McDowell today, for sure.
Listen, and I think when you hear these guys talk about chaos and talk about not knowing what's going to happen and craziness and stuff, I think Michael McDowell summed it up right there. Opportunity. This is an opportunity for some of these guys, for some of these teams. We talk Kevin Harvick, we talk Denny Hamlin, we talk Martin Truex, we talk these guys every week. This is an opportunity for a Tyler Reddick, for a Christopher Bell, for a Ricky Stenhouse, for a Matt Kenseth. Let's throw Matt Kenseth into the group. This is an opportunity for these guys to make something happen on a racetrack where they feel like they're not as far behind the 8 ball as maybe they are at some of the ovals they run. So I like that attitude going in here, and this is a guy who can shine. This is a guy who can make something happen for those guys today.
It's like you've been looking at my notes, Kyle, because I wrote down it's Opportunity Sunday for drivers like McDowell. So you mentioned a lot of names there. What do these guys need to do, especially in stage 1? Do they need to be assertive, or do they need to play it conservative?
You know, I think there's two strategies. And guys who need stage points, they're going to have to make something happen early in stage 1. Guys like Michael McDowell who really need to win. They need to win to move on to the playoffs. Guys like Matt Kenseth, guys like that who need the W, they will play their strategy to that final segment.
Yeah, you can't sit back. These are the best race car drivers in the world. You have to go and be ready to go. You just have to be aggressively smart.
Aggressively smart. Easier said than done. Other words used to describe this race today: gutsy, insane. There's just no telling what we are in for at Daytona. Countdown to Green, presented by Sonic, is next. Are you ready to win $25,000? The free-to-play Finish Line app is here to make that happen. Your racing experience will hit the jackpot. Go to your Apple Store or Google Play and download the Finish Line app today. Kyle Busch faced this Daytona road course in January. That was at the Rolex 24. Kyle and his Rolex teammate Jack Hawksworth spoke with Rutledge Wood about how that experience could help him today.
This is what makes this event so wonderful. One of the best that NASCAR has ever seen with a new experience.
Looking at lap times, Kyle is running very respectable lap times, very much in the ballpark.
How did that ride help you feel like, for the Cup Series race that's coming up at the Daytona road course?
Well, I mean, I definitely think it gives you a good sense of the racetrack and the layout and where the bumps are and the this and the that of being able to just run around the course. The cars are vastly different, though, obviously, with the GTD car being lighter, less power, more tire, more brake.
You know, Kyle's sharing a car, and he has said that Jack Hawksworth, he's the man.
Can you brake at the 1, like on the sim, or are you at the light?
I brake at the 1.5 at the light.
The light.
Yeah,
I'm at the light. I can only do the light.
Jack, what grade would you give Kyle's performance this year in the Rolex? How would you rate him in that car?
I'm right here.
I know, but let's ask the man himself, though.
The race as a whole, I think he did a really good job. Kept the car clean, his pace was good, everything that you could ask for during the first kind of 15 hours of that race.
Let's see if this Lexus has got the horsepower to pull up, and a nice, perfectly executed pass.
But yeah, I can't stress enough how different our cars are to the Cup cars.
He's not making me look any more forward to this.
The pressure's on him, really. You know, expecting big things this weekend. Full send into turn 1.
full send it. There we go. So, Kyle, how have you and the team prepared for the Daytona road course?
Jack, you tell him. What have you been doing?
I guess from my perspective, one of the things which is easier to work on in the simulator than perhaps the handling aspect is gear ratios and stuff like that, aerodynamic things, so that when Kyle and the rest of the team get in the cars, they've got a good starting point.
Yeah, all thanks to the Hawk if I win. Otherwise, he had nothing to do with it.
Are you coming back in January, mate? That's the big question.
Maybe. We'll have to keep talking. I'm talking to Wilson and some of those guys, but if you guys want me back, I'll be sure to honor the invite.
So a little trash talking, or thanks to Toyota there, making that happen. And on paper, Kyle would appear to have the advantage because, Brad, he's seen this track layout the most recently. Now, yes, it's a little different with that chicane added off NASCAR 4, but how could he have an advantage, or how will this help him with this track layout today?
Yeah, it's huge with the braking points. I mean, even though it's carbon brakes versus steel brakes, he still has an idea of where he needs to put this race car today in order to get it to stop, rotate, and turn. So that's a huge advantage for Kyle Busch, and I look for him to be very formidable throughout the day just simply because of that.
Yeah, I think it's an advantage. We see the track map right here, and we've talked about turn one. Everybody talks about turn one. Turn one is so hard because you come off the banking of the tri-oval. People don't understand how much the banking is through the tri-oval. You come off that onto the flat, and it's a blind corner around. You don't see the corner until you're almost on top of one. Coming out of 6, it just opens up, back up onto the racetrack. There's not a lot of visual points. By running laps recently, within the last 6 or 7 months for Kyle Busch, in his memory bank, he only has to go back to say, oh yeah, I remember this in the Lexus. Oh yes, I remember passing a guy here or not being able to pass a guy there. And there's little tidbits of information, even though it's a different car, even though it's a little bit different racetrack, he'll be able to call on and not get himself in trouble early in the race.
How far back can a driver usually go in the memory bank, Kyle? Is it a few months ago?
Listen, I can go all the way back 7 days, and that's a miracle for me. So that's pretty spectacular.
At least yesterday.
I knew you were going to say that. Coming up, we're going to hear from the driver who most experts consider the man to beat today. Martin Truex Jr. joins us next from Daytona. Countdown to Green is brought to you by the Toasted S'mores Shake, only at Sonic. Let's take a look at who's favored to visit Victory Lane today. One of the co-favorites, Martin Truex Jr., who is in search of his 5th Cup win on a road course. He is with Dave Burns.
He is right here with us now. And Martin, this day, I just saw you discussing with Kyle Busch, breaking down once again more what's happening today. Is the discussion ongoing about how this is going to go?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think everybody has a lot of question marks. So, it'd be important to get rolling early and, just, kind of take care of it, have some patience early on until you really learn your marks, find your breaking points, and then go from there. It's, it's a short race for us in general, but really a long race, in terms of a lot of chances to make mistakes, and you can beat yourself real quick. So just find your marks, feel it out, and then go from there and see how it goes.
Martin, where are things with the 19 team right now? Because 3 times in a row, 3rd place, no wins since Martinsville, but you're not lacking for speed. Where are you guys right now?
Yeah, I think we're in a good place. I think the team's doing a great job, and especially here lately, we've been kind of just getting back to our normal of having confidence in what we're doing and showing up to the racetrack when the race starts, being ready to race. So we had some deal there for a while where we were trying some stuff, and we just kind of got way off base, and I feel confident where we're at now. So I feel like we've given a couple wins away, which is a little bit frustrating, from a bonus point standpoint, but we're working hard. Hopefully we can get some wins here together before the playoffs.
Kind of back to basics here, Krista. I feel like that may be the theme of the day. Just keep it on the track, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a good strategy. Thanks, Dave. And there you see some numbers. So good on the road courses. Brad, you've given us some sleeper picks, but with those numbers, is Martin Truex your guy today?
Yeah, I mean, those are great numbers, and he also has 3 top 5s overall in the last 5, so he's going to be there at the end of the day. I think Martin Truex, with his demeanor, is an excellent road racer, and he'll eat up these first few laps, just taking in information. End of the day, look out for 19.
Yeah, look, that 14th on the Roval, he was leading coming into that final chicane there.
Yeah.
So let's take that into effect. That could be a first-place finish also. Martin Truex has separated himself from the pack as far as road racers. When you look at what he's done consistently over the last 4 or 5 years, it's phenomenal.
All right, if you want a chance at winning $10,000, make sure you play NASCAR Pick'em on the NBC Sports Predictor app. Now, Dale Jarrett, who normally makes his picks, conveniently didn't give us his picks for today's race. I don't know if it scared him off, Kyle, so it's your time to shine. We're going to put you on the spot. So here's how it works. Stage 1, you have 4 drivers to choose from. Who is your top pick out of these 4?
I can't tell you how I've waited for this opportunity. I am glad DJ's not here. No, okay, so here's my deal. I go Joey Logano because he's my friend, and that's who I'm picking. I'm picking friends.
Well, that's logical. That's very logical.
I got a totally different way of picking drivers for this.
It's the method to the madness. Stage 2, who's going to finish out of these 4?
Stage 2. Clint Boyer, because we don't run, there's no road course we run that's flatter than this place, and this place is as flat as Kansas. Clint Boyer brings that driving expertise. I'm going geographical right there. Brings that flat track expertise to Daytona.
Clint Boyer from Emporia, Kansas. I don't even want to ask what your method is on this one. Who's going to be the highest pick out of stage 3?
Okay, my highest pick out of stage 3 is Mark Seasoning. I don't believe Jimmy Johnson will be close enough to take him out at the last chicane this week. And he wins the inaugural race at Daytona just like he should have won the Roval. Those are my picks. Take it to the bank, people.
So you went historical, geographical, and then the friendship card. Those were your, those were your reasons.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Anybody is just up and from. There's no book on this race.
Thank you for the talent of these guys as we watch throughout the day. And don't sleep on Jimmy Johnson. I mean, top 10 at both Roval starts. You know, he was really good there. This is a racetrack that we have no experience on. So I'm expecting him. He almost won in 18. He did take out Martin, but the 7-time champ could be in the mix by the end of the day.
Well, I don't know have been the 3 words that we've heard the most as the theme through the weekend. At the end of the day, though, Kyle, one of them is going to be celebrating. This is still a playoff race.
Yeah, listen, this is for the playoff, but this is for history, too. The first road course for these guys, the first time they've run this infield course, this is something that every driver wants on their resume, and every driver wants that trophy.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be exciting. For viewers on NBCSN, it's time now for your scheduled programming, Mecum Top 10. For those watching on NBC, stay with us as we get set for Cup Series racing from the Daytona Road Course. Time now to send it up to the broadcast booth and Rick Allen.
Well, thank you, Krista. And Kyle Petty started the theme, Friends. I've got my friends up here. We're actually at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the booth here calling a race in Daytona. So Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte, Rick Allen with you. And if yesterday was any indication of what we can expect today, I would say that there is trouble at every turn on this road course. Right, Junior?
Yeah, that's right, Rick. I mean, we knew we'd see some challenges for these cars yesterday in the Xfinity race. But, man, we had trouble all over the racetrack. One of the points of contention right here in the backstretch chicane. It ruts out. That sandy soil comes right out next to that curb. Also down into turn 1. I mean, a lot of cars 3 and 4 wide, a lot of contact through there on restarts. Cars getting in trouble, going off course, overshooting that blind corner. It's very deceiving getting down into that corner.
Yeah, and then when you do run off, everybody has to try to find their way in. And then down here in turn 6, a lot of contact in turn 6. Hey, guys, imagine this. Imagine your drivers after an Xfinity race on a road course. Surprise, surprise. I would expect to see more anger today after this race.
Okay, so we have drivers that got a little bit angry. As a crew chief, Steve, what can you do? What's your role today with so many uncertainties?
Well, Rick, you're going to have to be a little bit strategist, a little bit engineer, and a little bit psychiatrist, because these stars of NASCAR, they're very good at driving race cars, and they're normally used to challenges as far as competition. But this road course at Daytona is going to throw a whole new set of challenges. No practice, no qualifying. When we see the green flag, turn 1 at speed, the first time ever seen by these stars will be under the green flag of this race. My job on top of the pit box is to try to keep everything calm. Let them know how the race is playing out. It's 65 laps long. That doesn't seem like a long race. This racetrack is almost 4 miles in length. Having race cars, and they're normally used to challenges as far as competition. But this road course at Daytona is going to throw a whole new set of challenges. No practice, no qualifying. When we see the green flag, turn 1 at speed, the first time ever seen by these stars will be under the green flag of this race. My job on top of the pit box is to try to keep everything calm. Let them know how the race is playing out. It's 65 laps long. That doesn't seem like a long race. This racetrack is almost 4 miles in length. 65 laps is a long day. So, Rick, try to get the strategy right, but more than anything, keep my driver calm all day long.
And Jeff Burton, what about the fact the two guys that are starting up front, Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin, both said, hey guys, behind us, we're a little bit nervous about this, okay? So just be a little bit cautious.
I talked to Kevin Harvick this morning. I said, hey man, what's the strategy for turn 1? He said, don't wreck. That was it.
And we know it is possible because we saw it yesterday. All right, let's get things underway on this historic day. We go trackside for pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Daytona Beach Police Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Chaplain Joel Rivera from Advent Health offers today's invocation.
Our Lord, our Father, our Creator, we are coming to you to ask for your presence and your blessings with us. Be with every pilot, every crew member, and each person here. Let us enjoy and let us be safe. In the name of the Almighty God, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome from Orlando, Florida, Katina Mack.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
2020 has been one new experience after another, and now a historic one here at Daytona, the road course for NASCAR, the Cup Series.
First couple laps are going to be pretty crazy just because of the unknowns. Who knows what to expect? I expect madness. It's going to be crazy.
Survival will be key. There will be cars off the track on lap 1, no question.
That's the stars of the sport, the best in the world for cars, and they don't know what to expect because this is all new here at Daytona International Speedway, the road course for the Cup Series. And for stories on pit road, we start up with a guy who is anticipating a great finish because he hasn't seen one in 2020 yet. Dylan Welch talking about Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Rick, it's hard to believe that it's mid-August and Kyle Busch still hasn't found victory lane. Concerning, yes, but crew chief Adam Stevens says this team is finally finding their footing once again. 2 good races last week in Michigan, and a track and a race today where anything can happen is a good combination of momentum for the 18. Dave, that win may be closer than we think.
Dylan, you know that scene in Talladega Nights where Ricky Bobby's team puts the word me on the hood of his race car, M-E? Well, it's a little bit that way for Martin Truex and his team right now. They're going to start doing things that not necessarily look good on the simulator or in science. They're going to do things that work for Martin Truex. And that may take him to his 4th road course win in the last 8 road course races. Now let's go to Parker Kligerman, who's then already on track today, buddy.
Right, Dave. I can tell you what these drivers are about to experience because I just hopped out of the truck race. Finished 8th. Thought I probably had a shot at the top 3, but had some bad. Got spun out once or twice. Nonetheless, what are these drivers about to experience? Well, 2 things. They're going to be working up to a very low grip level. What I mean by that is you cannot go out there and try and get gobs of braking and go out there and roll a ton of speed in these corners because the grip level is incredibly low, and it's also very, very slick, and most important, super hot. A ton of the drivers out of the truck race fell out or had to go get medical attention after. I was a little tougher, I hope, or at least I hydrate better, but a lot of these drivers on here were asking me, what should I expect? Even 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson. Let's get ceremonies.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome President of the Bowling Centers Association of Florida, Bill Hanson.
Drivers, start your engines.
Fired up. Fire and hold.
Tighten the gloves up. Make sure the belts are tight. Drivers strapped in. In front of them, 65 laps at the Daytona Road Course. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Die Hard Batteries, now available at Advance Auto Parts. Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR, perfect for race fans. Sunoco, the official fuel of NASCAR, fuel your best. And by Toyota.
I'm just really excited. That's the reason that I raced, was to get to the next level.
Sorry, didn't make it no better for you.
It's been a great year, and we just got beat tonight.
Good year, guys. Way to fight.
To be a championship driver, you have to have confidence.
Nobody's been able to touch the closer.
Kevin Harvick took command. Awesome job, boys.
You'll see the checkered flag, and Kevin Harvick wins.
Kevin Harvick will become a 3-time winner of the Brickyard 400. Great job.
You know, everybody is very satisfied with the things that we're doing and the accomplishments that we have.
Harvick is going to sweep Michigan. He wins again.
I love to see the emotion that comes from a group of people that have been in battle together and beat everybody else.
Kevin Harvick, the winningest Cup driver in 2020. Already 6 wins, but a clean slate here at Daytona for the road course. NASCAR Cup Series Go Bowling 235 at the Daytona Road Course. Cars beginning to roll. Let's take a look at today's starting grid, brought to you by Go Bowling. Let's hear from the top 10.
Kevin Harvick, number 4, Stewart-Haas Racing Ford.
Denny Hamlin, number 11, Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota.
Martin Truex Jr., number 19, Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota.
Kyle Busch, number 18, Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota.
Joey Logano, number 22, Team Penske Ford.
Eric Almirola, number 10, Stewart-Haas Racing Ford.
Chase Elliott, number 9, Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet.
Kurt Busch, number 1, Chip Ganassi Racing Chevrolet.
Matt DiBenedetto, number 21, Wood Brothers Racing Ford.
Starting in the 10th position is going to be Kaz Grala, because normally driving the number 3 is Austin Dillon. Kaz Grala filling in for Austin Dillon because he just tested positive for COVID-19. Kaz Grala becoming only the 3rd driver to drive the famed number 3 since 1984. The starting grid's going to continue along the left side. We have the opportunity, I guess, when we see a Kaz Grala coming in here, difficult for Austin Dillon, right, Jeff?
It is difficult. I talked to Austin this morning. Obviously, he hates missing this race. But he wanted to tell everybody, all the fans, thank you for all the prayers and the well wishes. He's feeling pretty good, and he wants to get back at Dover. That's his plan, to get back to Dover, get back in this race car.
Yeah, and he's never, since he started his Cup Series and NASCAR career, he's never missed a race until this one. He needs 2 negative tests to be able to get back into his car with at least 24 hours in between those 2 negative tests. Jimmie Johnson had to go through the same parameters for him to get back into the 48 when he had tested positive earlier before the Indy race. We're going to dial up on the radio Kurt Busch, the driver of the number 1. Jeff, pull him up.
Hey, Curtis Burton up here in the booth. You got us?
10-4, Burton. I got you guys.
All right, buddy. We've heard madness, crazy, chaos, all these words to describe this racetrack. Are you nervous?
Of course, we're nervous, but not at all. This is going to be fun. I'm real proud of NASCAR and the effort to put all this together, and my team at Ganassi, Monster Energy Chevy. It's fun prepping a new way, iRacing, the Chevy Sim, and just going after it and with all this openness. And ultimately, the least amount of mistakes today is going to win.
Well, Kurt, you've raced here before, 24-hour race. What do you think is going to be the most important part of this racetrack?
Just trying to keep it simple, keep it on the racetrack, the chicanes, the exits of the chicanes, and the exit of turn 6 to come on to Daytona's turn 1 oval. So just got to get good exits, good execution on pit road, good teamwork. And I'll tell you, if I win today, I'm going to go and buy a Camaro. So everybody be ready. You might have to go buy a Camaro too.
All right. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Good luck today.
Thanks, guys.
That's a bold statement right there. Leading the field as the official pace car for today's race is the Toyota Camry TRD. And so that will be out in front of the field until it's taken over once again by Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin. Now, it's a 14-turn track, but guys, kind of take us around maybe even the trouble spots here.
Okay, you cross the start-finish line, head down into turn 1. That's a sort of a deceiving corner. It tightens up the further you get in there. We've seen a lot of guys overdrive that corner. In turn 3, very slick. Wheel hopping into that corner in the braking zone is very tough. Into turn 5, same thing. Not quite as bad, but easy to overdrive that corner.
You get to turn 6. It's a lot of contact there. Turn 9, the entrance to turn 9, the back chicane or the bus stop. Don't miss turn 9. It will tear the nose off your car. Then roll around to the new chicane, which is on the front straightaway. Saw a lot of people miss turn 14 and jump across those curbs. You have to stop. If you miss this front or rear chicane, you got to stop to serve your own penalty.
It's been so much fun learning this road course, at least for the NASCAR drivers as they're making their way onto pit road now for pit road speed. And Rutledge Wood has been kind of keeping his finger on the pulse of the fans and social media and everything going on with that. Let's bring in Rutledge Wood. He's at home, actually. And we'll have Hey Rut come and join us here at Daytona.
Rick, it's great to be with you, buddy. You know what? This week we've been asking fans to send in some of their NASCAR vacation pictures because it's hard for so many of us to think about a place like Daytona where so many people know the track, they know the beach, they go for vacation. So I put it out there and I want to show you my favorite pictures that I got back. A lot of us, when we think about Daytona, we think of jorts. That's right. Jean shorts. Take a look at these pictures, which I think are the baddest mammer jammer to ever wear jean shorts. I can't help but think that looks a lot like Dale Sr. and that cute little bug in the sand is none other than our own Dale Earnhardt Jr. Look at that. I mean, guys, Daytona, jean shorts, and the baddest dude to ever make jean shorts look cool, Dale Sr. Everybody, send in your pictures. Use that hashtag ARUT. But just spoiler alert, I don't think your pictures can be cooler than those two, Rick.
Junior, I mean, let's talk about that. It was a vacation for you guys, right, when you came down here?
Yeah, I didn't look too happy, did I? I remember coming here and such a great place to be able to come and you go to the beach and then you go to the race, get it all, family vacation and racing at the same time. Couldn't beat it.
Right here at Daytona Beach, and then obviously racing on this racetrack. But Steve, give us the numbers now, something completely new for these drivers.
Well, you mentioned this racetrack. When we head to Daytona, we're used to the 2.5-mile high banked oval, but this will be the first time stock cars on the road course. 3.61 miles, 14 different corners, a couple of hairpins on the infield, a backstretch bus stop or chicane, a front stretch chicane, a lot of opportunities to pass, and the race gets broken down. 65 laps, 15 laps stage 1, the same for stage 2, 35 lap final stage. Fuel window, Rick, good luck. I hear it's about 20 laps, 21 laps, 22 laps. That's kind of a, I'll call it a quote, educated guess, because as you've mentioned, never have we seen stock cars, the Cup cars, 750 horsepower, make laps.
We're going to ride along with actually a few of those cars on the racetrack, and drivers, take us through who's going to carry cameras.
Got the Coca-Cola cam here inside of Daniel Suarez, number 96 car, over the shoulder. The Advance Auto Parts camera with Ryan Blaney. He has a foot cam also, be able to see him using the gas, brake, and clutch and all that good stuff while he's shifting around this track. Kurt Busch with the Advent Health camera. Looking back at him here with a reverse driver and also a side panel on that car.
Kyle Busch got this great shot right here on the roof, thanks to Toyota. And Kevin Harvick, the view everybody wants, the Busch Beer cam.
If you were able to watch the NASCAR America pre-race show and Countdown to Green, you heard the story of Ryan Newman when he was here in February for the Daytona 500. This is how his night ended, and hard into the wall, hit up in the air, and he mentioned that when he came back in, that's the first he remembered of this racetrack, because he didn't remember leaving the track. On the radio earlier, he was able to say thank you to the workers that helped save his life after that very, very terrifying crash. Here's what that was on the radio.
Hey everyone, just want to say a big thank you. This is a special day for me. A lot of it because of all the things that you guys did back in February. It was for me to go back in tunnel here, come back into this racetrack and do what I love. Thank you for your support, not only for me personally, but all the things that you do for all of us drivers. It goes a long way, and I just want to say thank you from the deepest of my heart. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, he wanted to do that in person, but obviously because of what we're experiencing right now with the pandemic, he was not able to do that. But on the radio, he said thank you to everyone. About ready to make history at the Daytona International Speedway road course, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin lead the field of 39. Green flags in the air. They stay 2 by 2. The International Horseshoe. Denny Hamlin has the preferred line in the 11.
Impressive start by the driver of the 11. We haven't seen anyone go side by side through that little turn 2 kink. He was able to do it and takes the lead, heading now to the dog leg. It's just a little bit of a left-hand turn, but driver's very slick as it heads into the other hairpin.
Yeah, Kyle Busch jumping up on the outside. We've seen this happen and work several times in the truck race and the Xfinity race. Outside of that corner works pretty well. Kyle Busch making it happen.
These drivers are processing so much information right now, trying to understand where the grip level is on this infield course. You see some guys getting more aggressive, more brave with their braking zones, more brave with their throttle on exit.
And Kyle Busch in that 18 car, he ran the 24-hour race this January. So very, very short time since he's been on this racetrack. Many others in the field have track time, but not many were able to race this year.
Yeah, that'll be a great advantage for Kyle for a few laps here early in this race. He wants to take advantage of that while he has it.
Truex all over the back of Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Kevin very slow and cautious into this chicane. He obviously watched the Xfinity race yesterday.
All the drivers talked about using simulation and all those things, right? But that's by yourself. Now you're racing somebody. Truex going to try to jump inside of Harvick into this front straightaway chicane.
These are teammates. Denny Hamlin has the 18 of Kyle Busch chasing after him. Lap 1 at the road course is led by Denny Hamlin. The first laps ever turned by NASCAR's Cup Series here on the road course.
What a great job by this entire field to get through this first lap with no idea of what they were getting themselves into without any big issues.
It's a great shot right here. Here we go. We got the track map for you also. This little kink right here is, you'd like to run wide open, but just can't quite do it in these heavy stock cars. Heavy braking into turn 5. And Kyle with a big high entry to try to make the exit of this corner straighter.
Yeah, that's the difference in knowing how to get around this racetrack with experience. Kyle making that entrance wide to be able to get that drive off, get the wheel straight. So right here, the wheel a little bit straighter, he can drive off the corner and his throttle more while Denny's still out there wide trying to turn the wheel.
And now Kyle Busch is hoping to get a little bit of a draft off that 11 car.
Got a good run here.
Yeah, you can see as they're accelerating, the draft will be very effective in these cars. Kind of showing Denny Hamlin, I want this spot, going to outbrake Denny, put Denny in a spot where he just needs a lift, concede the spot. Good smart driving by both drivers.
You have to think that time in the 24 hours earlier this year is the difference there, with the 18 car being able to drive up through there and take these positions and lead this race. I'd expect the rest of the field to start to gain experience, gain speed. Watching that 4 car through turn 4 of the NASCAR oval, he looks completely uncomfortable moving that car around. I don't know if he's bottoming out the track bar or what's happening there, but that car does not look settled in the load of the banking.
You mentioned that. One of the biggest challenges for the crew chiefs, as I spoke to him all week long, was just, as we see now, side by side for the lead again. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch down into turn 1. Kyle had the lead. Denny Hamlin fighting back on the outside. Once again, nope, this time not side by side through that little left and right section of turn 2, now into the horseshoe. As I was saying about the challenges, Rick, we see it at the Charlotte Roval, the infield and the banking, but that's at a 1.5-mile racetrack. Here at Daytona, over 30 degrees of banking. So when you climb up into the banks, the loading's so much in the race car, they're worried about hitting the racetrack. Here's what happened to the 18 car.
Yeah, just dragging that left front tire. That enabled Denny Hamlin to get some positive momentum, head toward him, ends up making the pass into turn 1. Dylan.
And Kyle Busch is getting ready to come in. The crew is on the wall. He felt like he flat spotted that right front. He came on the radio and said, yeah, it's the right front coming to you. So the crew is on the wall now waiting. So unless Kyle feels something differently here over this next lap, expect the 18 in.
So a flat spot is basically just like it sounds. You take left on the video. Take that round Goodyear tire and you slide it so long that you grind through the rubber and put a flat spot. It can just shake, which is annoying, but not a problem as far as durability. But if you slide through enough rubber, Rick, you'll actually get down to the cording. You could blow a tire. If Kyle Busch thinks it's that severe at lap 3, I love the idea of pitting. You won't lose a lap. This thing's almost 4 miles long.
I'm thinking left front, not right.
Conversation about whether it's the left or the right. Just change 4 tires if you come into pit road at this point.
Yeah, it was a left front. Kyle thought it was a right front, but we saw.
You need to. We'll put 4 on it. Not a problem.
Yeah, you may as well put 4 on it.
I agree completely. You know, keep yourself in the race, Jeff, right? Don't try to get too fancy too early. We'll see. So this is it where he slid the tire last time, that front stretch chicane.
He's going to slide it again.
He got 2 for 2.
He never downshifted, as far as I can tell.
He must have gotten in there so far he was afraid to downshift and get it wheel hopping.
Definitely left front.
And definitely slid it long enough in my mind to hurt a tire.
So he did not pit, stayed out on the racetrack here.
You know, the question is, many times when you flat spot a tire, just a little bit, right? The question, does it find that spot on the racetrack again and then you slide it again? That's where you get into problems. If Kyle did not flat spot the same area of the tire, he may have 2 small flat spots versus 1 big one, which would two small is better than one big one for sure.
Got a stop sign on the left front, Rick.
He's got a 2-second lead over third right now, but we know Kyle Busch uncomfortable behind the wheel. Today's aerial coverage brought to you by Geico. Looking down on this beautiful facility. NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with high-definition in-car cameras all race long. Visit NASCAR.com/driver. You can download the mobile app today. And take a look at this. This is Ryan Blaney we're riding along with. He's got that foot cam working. And his feet are working at every turn. While we went away to break, the 18 of Kyle Busch came in front of you there, Dylan.
Yeah, and the left front definitely was flat spotted, so Kyle hit that nail right on the head, and I don't know if we have a shot of it here, but the damage to that tire was pretty amazing. So Kyle knew exactly what he felt, and it's just interesting because there you can see it right there, that big blister on the left front just from carrying it and dragging it across the racing surface. Adam Stevens, the crew chief, told me before this race, we're missing execution. We have speed, which is the opposite of what we had this year. That was a mistake right there, an execution mistake that hopefully does not hurt them too badly.
But a great decision by Kyle Busch. You saw that fabric that they had slid through. Rick, about 2 more layers of that fabric and you see air. That's never good. All right, so Jeff, you mentioned it earlier when we had the track map up about there is a penalty if you miss the chicane. So right here, Brad Keselowski, he misses driver right. Comes to a complete stop right here, continues on. That is how you have it. And oh, thanks, Tyler Reddick. He's going to miss driver's left to show us the other option. He pulls up here in that black car, stops in the blue paint. He continues. So we have seen this before. Right? It's not just like here at Watkins Glen. We've seen it at the Charlotte Roval. You know, if you miss the intended path through the curbs, come to a complete stop, and you're good to go. And you better stop, Rick, because if not, the next time you have to come down pit road.
Last time we were on a new road course, which was the Roval, Jimmie Johnson was fighting with Martin Truex Jr. for the win. So do we look at Jimmie Johnson and say, okay, this guy has a chance at this new road course here of Daytona?
I picked him to win, so I'm in deep. Listen, I talked to Jimmie Johnson this morning, and you know, every driver I talked to said, you know, chaos, craziness, unexpected. You know what Jimmie Johnson said? Fun. Simply, this is going to be fun. And I love that attitude. He's raced here before. He has a lot of time on this racetrack. And I just believe that's going to play for him. And that attitude about how just go enjoy it, have a good time, I think that's going to help him as well.
Jeff, I was shocked. You mentioned a lot of time. You know, a lot of names came to mind when it came to the 24-hour race. Jimmie Johnson, 8 total starts, 6 of them in that 24-hour race. Rick, I would have lost that. If that was a Jeopardy question, I was getting it wrong because I had him at like 2 or 3 starts.
Yeah. Parker.
Well, guys, talk about Jimmie Johnson having fun here. You know, this team told me coming in here they had a lot of confidence just because of his experience here in the Rolex 24-hour on this road course. Although, obviously, there's an extra chicane, but most of this road course he has experience on. And I could sense that confidence in talking to him just as he was hopping in the car before the race. He asked me, how do you think it compared to the simulator? And I said, I'm not sure much. He goes, okay, and then just got on with his day. So I really think you hit the nail on the head. He has a lot of confidence at 48. He's moved up from 11th up to 6th right now. A lot of speed.
Just was able to get by Matt DiBenedetto, who's been running very well in the 21. So again, Jimmie Johnson trying to break into the top 5. Here's Daniel Suarez as we ride along with a Coca-Cola camera.
Down here in turn 3. Listen how slow they are back to the throttle. Have to almost wait till you're perfectly straight. No rear grip, no front grip. It's a really, really hard tire, really slick surface, worn out racetrack. Heading into turn 5. We saw a lot of wheel hop in these cars, in the Xfinity cars yesterday.
Look how slow it is. Center of the corner, almost all the way down to 40 miles per hour.
You can hear the wheels trying to ratchet, trying to wheel hop. In the braking zone.
So they get all the way down to about 40 miles an hour. Now they hit the high banks. And how fast will they be going before they get to the bus stop, where they'll be hitting the brakes very hard?
Yeah, this is the fastest part of the racetrack. This is an interesting rules package. Full horsepower, 750 horsepower, but also full downforce. We won't see this rule package at any oval. almost 190 miles per hour, and this is after already 6 laps on the tire. So I think it's fair to say we're going to see over 190 on the faster laps of the race, Rick.
That's such a tough corner to get slowed down for. There's no real markers, nothing on the inside, no guardrail that ends or anything that you can reference off of to know when to slow down for that backstretch chicane. That's why we see a lot of guys get in there too deep and miss it. Let's listen to Denny Hamlin, see what those guys got going on.
Games look pretty good. It looks like the 19 and the 9 may be gaining on you forward by. That's just what it looks like right from T. I agree with that.
So he thinks that they need to work on the forward bite, the drive off, basically, when he gets out of the corner and tries to put the power down. It just spins the tires. And there's a few things that they can adjust to try to give him better grip when he puts the power down to accelerate out of the corner.
Yeah, you heard Chris Gabehart say, looking at SMT, that's just data that the teams have available, able to look at how their competition is going back to the throttle and comparing that to their own driver.
Visually, you can see the gaps close with Truex on Denny Hamlin. Chase Elliott's back there.
Are we surprised? I say that tongue-in-cheek, but Truex second, Chase Elliott third, each with 3 road course wins in the last 7 races. And when I look at timing and scoring, Denny Hamlin's doing a nice job leading. But this guy in second, 4/10, 6/10 of a second faster than the leader consistently. I know he has 4 career wins. One was a while ago at Sonoma back in the MWR days, but 3 of the last 7, right? And you guys point out one of those was the only one that Chase Elliott or Martin Truex Jr. didn't win was Blaney, and that's because Truex got taken out by Jimmy Johnson at the Roval. So this guy in second and third, they are extremely good at the road courses, Dave.
Chase Elliott 7 seconds back now, Steve, in third place. There he is. And Alan Gustafson, his crew chief, told me this morning they'd much rather be at Watkins Glen. It's about 10 degrees cooler. But he was talking about their success there. It was scheduled to be there, of course, but he sees this road course as a chance to really get back on their horse. He said Michigan was, quote, really disappointing. They didn't expect to run so badly there, and they need to get their swagger back. A road course, and Chase Elliott would be just the way to do it.
COVID has changed the schedule. Normally they would have run Sonoma and Watkins Glen, but now they're running Daytona road course.
You're right.
For the lead, Martin Truex Jr. just took it away from Denny Hamlin. Can he hang on to it? Hamlin was fighting back through turn 4 into turn 5, and now Hamlin has to work even harder if he wants to get back up front.
Oh, a little contact right there. Hamlin got a little damage on that left front fender from that.
Yeah, I'm actually a little concerned about where that fender's pushed in. It might rub when we get up on the high banks. That's where that front tire will load the most. Man. See if we can take a look at this left front as he climbs the traditional banking here at Daytona. Oh, yeah, I see a little smoke.
It's smoking already.
Yeah. There's still 6 to go in this stage.
Oh, boy.
As we go here, we'll get you fixed up.
I'm sure that's a little smoke.
A little bit of an unforced error there, in my opinion. He didn't put up a big fight. So he didn't put up a big fight for this lead. See, Martin Truex Jr. went to the right, and then he just said, there you go, have it. Look at all the room he gave him. Then went to turn and try to get next to him. Then down this back straightaway.
Gabehart wants you to bring it.
Just can't run through here side by side safely. And this early in the race, Denny decides to lift, give the spot. So at this point, I'm thinking Denny's just kind of conceded the spot, right? Going to run second, try to learn something from Martin. Martin's been faster. Denny turns underneath him, and right here, there's contact. I don't think Martin even thought he was going to be there. I don't know, guys. If you're going to kind of give somebody a spot, why put yourself in that situation?
I agree, unforced error, and you see in the bottom right of your screen the 11 of Denny Hamlin called to pit road by Chris Gabehart. The strategy would be to pit around lap 13, which is 3 laps from now. So, Dave, I don't think this is a huge penalty. Actually, a great call by the crew chief to go ahead and take your medicine and come now.
Yeah, in fact, Steve, they have the hose caught under the splitter there. In fact, some crew chiefs did tell me they might come this early. So it is one strategy that was being thrown around, so this won't put them off by much. They're going to go ahead and pound out that fender there. And this is just a safeguard, right? There are lots of things you shouldn't do on the early laps and take a chance. And one would be leave your driver out there with any kind of a tire rub.
And the other one would be to knock your fender in. I say that, but Jeff, I completely agree with you, right? It's one thing if you stack up in the middle of the corner, but, you know, and then you see right here, just an unfortunate timing for a bad pit stop. Won't hurt him as much under green, but I agree with what your complete analysis there, Jeff, right? You know, why push it that much earlier? You don't see the 11 make those mistakes this year. He's claimed, and I agree with him, he's been winning more races with his brain, right? Just being smarter. This is not one of his best moves so far in 2020.
Well, listen, this is all different, right? We talk about the chaos, the craziness, all these things that have been described in this racetrack. It's got the drivers are in a completely different situation, and when you get in a different situation, you tend to behave a little differently, right? So it's just the pressures, the desire to win, all those things. Just it's hard to get everything lined up and make proper decisions all the time.
The reason why it's such a penalty is because as you make these unforced errors, Truex, Chase Elliott now are 1-2 coming into the race. Even with the unknowns, they had to be the two favorites in my mind. So
yesterday during the Xfinity Series race, Denny Hamlin watches this and says, all right, for the 36 guys that are going to follow me into turn 1 tomorrow, enter at your own risk. So Denny Hamlin, knew going into this race, there was a lot of things, there was a lot of unknowns, and one of those things was how hard maybe do you race a guy early in the race?
Yeah, he was joking about turn 1, tongue-in-cheek, and I agreed with him. Turn 1 was going to be kind of interesting. The unfortunate part about this is he had got through the first 8 or 10 laps of the race without issue. So I think that's what makes it a problem. Now, the advantage he's going to have is everyone's going to be on pit road before the end of this stage, or at least anyone who doesn't need points, as now we see Kevin Harvick on pit road. Parker?
And he pits out of third place here. He was on the radio just a couple laps ago remarking how the rear tires were driving him. He's just been lacking that drive off the corner, especially those slow horseshoes through the infield section. There'll be Ford Goodyear tires and air pressure adjustment for Kevin Harvick in this Ford car.
Steve, let's remind the fans, this is normal. On a road course, you come in under green as opposed to coming in under yellow.
Two schools of thoughts. The idea is to pit before the yellow, because then when the yellow comes out and everyone else pits, you'll get your track position back. Kevin Harvick doesn't need points. That's why it works for him. I question, though, 4th place runner Jimmy Johnson, 10th place runner William Byron, Clint Bowyer in 6th. Points will be paid at the end of stage 1 here in 4 laps. When you look at the points, Bowyer, Byron, Johnson, Eric Jones, right there at that cut line. They need to stay out and get those points. That's tough to do, though, because I think you're hurting your overall chance of winning the race. But you know me, Rick, I take them when I can get. Fill that points bucket. No guarantees how the race are going to go.
So Harvick has been on pit road. We saw Denny Hamlin come to pit road because of the damage to the right front of that car, or left front of that car. And so he came a little bit early. Martin Truex Jr., another driver who doesn't need points, and we'll be looking at the big picture, will probably be coming this lap.
Well, I don't know, Rick. The counter for Martin Truex Jr. is that one playoff point for winning the stage. So I agree with you. I would come because I think he has car enough to win the race, so I'm totally on board with you. But I think we're going to see what James Small thinks, right? Does he think that playoff point has enough value to stay on the racetrack if you're giving up a lot of track position?
And Steve, pit road closes when the race leader crosses the start-finish line with 2 laps to go in the stage, so they can't come after that happens.
Correct. But as the race leader, he could come with 2 to go. Kurt Busch, left-hand corner, coming to pit road, 95 following Christopher Bell. I won't lie, the green 95 threw me for a loop. I hadn't seen that color before.
Dave.
And Kurt Busch is in. Remember when we talked to him on Zoom this week, was talking about just having a good time this weekend and keep it needs to be. We talked to him on the pace laps, and so far he's been doing everything he's set out to do. The one car looks good. He'll change 4 fresh Goodyear tires and get Sunoco fuel, Parker.
Ryan Blaney comes in as well. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires here as they flip this stage as well. Just struggling to drive off. Speaking to Todd Gordon before this race, they had a bit of confidence knowing how fast Ryan Blaney was at the first time we went to the Roval, just learning this racetrack right now. Also on pit road is his teammate Brad Keselowski, who we saw miss the final chicane there. Oh, a little slow exiting pit road, having to get around Alex Bowman. That's not a huge penalty as you described, Steve, because of so many people coming down right now. Dylan?
And Parker, Kyle Busch just came in. He was reporting that only had 2 laps of rear grip in those tires before they went away. He came in for 4 tires and fuel.
I think that stalling situation is going to be something we see all day, because here on this road course, first gear is used actually in a few of the corners. Normally when we race an oval, Rick, they run in 4th gear the whole time, so you really set your ratios just for pit road. As you see this pit exit tight, isn't it, Jeff?
Oh, that Kyle Busch almost hit the wall on that pit exit. Junior, you and I were talking about it. You did hit the wall running a 24-hour race one time.
Yeah, I didn't tell anybody that.
That was amongst friends.
I thought everybody knew.
It's just the exit to pit road is just as deceiving as the racetrack itself in turn 1, and there's a wall there. So if you miss that by a few inches, you're going to be in the fence. We see Truex on pit road.
There's your answer, Rick. You said it. He was going to pit. I thought maybe a playoff point. You're absolutely right. They think they can win the race, so they're on pit road, Dave.
I thought the same thing, Steve, because remember, he's only got 7 playoff points right now. But remember, this stage win, only 1 playoff point. If he wins the race, that's 5. So that'd be very valuable. Happy with his race car right now. You can see Joe Gibbs Racing leading the race, starting up front. They've been able to conquer this infield road course and the oval so far. Truex is gone.
Truex gave up the lead. It's the 10th straight road course that Truex has led on. That's the second longest streak of all time, what Truex is doing. So he is great on road courses.
As we watch Truex, this is what the drivers were just talking about, that narrow exit, and here's the 9. So basically we just came to a fork in the road between these 2 road course superstars. The 19 stayed on the racetrack, or excuse me, pitted. The 9 didn't. All right, Jeff, here's what you were talking about.
Trying to carry a lot of speed, hard on the brakes. How many times do you see a driver on the brakes leaving pit road?
Yeah, because you're past the pit road speed line. You can run as hard as you want. That wall comes up at you. So I was talking about 2 different strategies. The 9 of Chase Elliott stays on the racetrack to try to win stage 1. The 19 came to pit road. So a fork in the road on the strategy standpoint.
Pit road is closed now because Chase Elliott went across the start-finish line, and less than 2 laps to go in stage 1. Kevin Harvick trying to hold off the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Again, both have been on pit road now. They're running in the 12th and 13th position, respectively, Harvick and Hamlin. Harvick started up front in this race. As we see the 11 of Denny Hamlin get by Kevin Harvick. So race fans, for every lap Kevin Harvick leads today, Busch is going to donate $1,000, up to $30,000 to the National Forest Foundations. You can learn more about that at Busch Beer on Twitter.
Watch Kevin Harvick's going to downshift. 3rd gear, 2nd gear. Look at how big those curves are when he hits them. You can see him just knocking around in the car. Up to 3rd gear. Kevin always takes his hand and sets right there. See it every week.
Let's see how this car is driving through this part of the track. Man, it looks like it's out of control. You see him moving the steering wheel around through turns 4 there of the NASCAR oval.
Steve, how hard is this course on equipment?
Very. Oh, trouble here.
Just as I mentioned that, Alex Bowman in the 88 has a left rear tire that's come down, and actually the carcass about to come off now.
And the big concern right here is, unlike at the ovals, here at the road courses, no interliners. So this left rear tire that is flat, that car is on the wheel. You see it now. The carcass is either disintegrated or falling off.
Now ripping it up.
It's still wrapped around the wheel.
My concern now, crush panels, you see the shiny aluminum in front of the tire, beat all the pieces right here. Brake lines are available. Brake cooling is available to get torn off. So Alex Bowman, not that he can do anything else. You can't stop, but doing the best he can, being calm.
We've also seen those tires get wrapped around the rear end housing, and they can't get it out. There you can see it just pushed it out of there.
It comes off, but stays off of the racing surface as Alex Bowman is staying on the apron trying to get back to pit road as Chase Elliott is coming up on the green and white checkered flag.
Chase has won the last 2 road course races and 3 of the 4 stages in the last 2 road course races.
Through the new chicane for the final time of stage 1. This will be the 6th stage win of the season. Actually only had 5 all of 2019. So Chase Elliott grabs stage 1 at the Daytona International Road Course.
By a large margin.
Yes, large margin. Almost 8 seconds until the 22 just crossed the start-finish line. 9 seconds as a matter of fact. So again, strategy played into that because we saw with Martin Truex Jr., he was running up there when he decided to come to pit road and get fresh tires and fill up before the end of the stage. He handed the lead off to Chase Elliott. He'll take it, though. That's a playoff point.
Next Sunday, the Indy 500 is on NBC, 1 p.m. Eastern. It is historic. You do not want to miss it. And right now, we are lucky enough to be joined by the pole sitter, Marco Andretti. The first time an Andretti is on the pole there in 33 years. Marco, first off, congratulations. A lot of people are saying this is your year. Can you put it together and go win this thing?
I'm hoping the Andretti curse doesn't exist in August. So far, so good. I mean, it's just been so smooth sailing, and we just have to keep the momentum up. And every day, it's just the car just rolls off so fast, and we're so, consistent with it. Now we go into race practice, and that's a totally different ball game. So we're going to try to get a good balance, not just speed.
Marco, thank you so much for joining us, taking the time. I know you got practice. Good luck. Guys, can't wait to see him. How cool he joined us, but I know we got action at Daytona, Rick.
Yeah, we do, and we're not quite the speed that Marco saw. They were going 240 miles an hour at Indianapolis Motor Speedway earlier today in the Fast 9 to determine the 9 starting spots. And pit stops taking place now at the end of stage 1. Dave.
And Chase Elliott brings the 9 car onto pit road. He said, you know what, I don't want to take away the good turn that I have with an adjustment for drive off. I can do a better job of taking care of my rear tires. So they have to temper that as they fix this car up, Parker.
Jimmy Johnson's teammate, very happy inside that 48 car. Just said he's lacking a little bit of braking stability, and he's working up to using the brakes appropriately. He said there's a little bit more speed inside that 48, Dave.
And the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is right there, but having a little bit of an issue. Steve, one of the things that they do on these road courses is shut the car on and off in order to save fuel. Martin had it shut off, and he said it won't go on again. They've had this problem before, and you can see if he doesn't maintain pace, other cars can go around, and this can lose you a race sometimes, Steve.
Oh, that gives me heartburn because you mentioned it. Shut the car off, you push the clutch in, you coast a little bit, you let the clutch out, the car just jump starts. You don't even need the battery, but those spots lost right there, Rick, he won't get them back.
We saw Marcus Ambrose lose a race doing just what that happened there. Hold on. We know how important it is to come in first. That's why first responder calls take priority on the network public safety agencies rely on. NASCAR is brought to you by Verizon. Stage 1 is complete, and looking forward to the start of Stage 2. The Go Bowling 235 at the Daytona Road Course. Out front, Joey Logano, and surprisingly, Martin Truex Jr. was up there and had an issue, wasn't able to keep the car running.
So this is really the question, Rick. So he shut the car off under yellow, as we showed, right? And cars got by. And then under yellow, you and I, under the commercial break, we saw him drive up trying to take his spots back. And I was questioning that. NASCAR has since reviewed the video and said this is where he should line up. He has lost those spots when he was coasting through the bus stop.
So the field coming into the Geico restart zone. Logano and Hamlin making up row 1 now.
Very interesting. The 22 of Joey Logano, by my notes here, has not come to pit road. If that truly is the case, then he has old tires, maybe trying to do this on a pit strategy, but he is under attack by Denny Hamlin, who's on the outside.
He definitely did not pit.
Hamlin's going to try to take advantage of the kink here. Gets to the inside of him. It'll be a little bit of a left-hander, and also Kevin Harvick's going to go along. They'll both go by Logano. Now Martin Truex Jr. pressuring him as well in the 19. Here comes Kurt Busch in the 1. A mistake to stay out, not come in for tires?
Well, you know, it's always easy to say after they do it, but, you know, we have saw in the truck race and the Xfinity race that tires did matter. The grip area is so low in the infield. We were talking to Parker Kligerman a minute ago. He was in the truck race, and he said, Steve, the infield is like Martinsville, but in first gear. You cannot hook the rear tires up. That, I think, is what you're seeing. My biggest concern, drivers, is where can you hide these long straightaways? If you don't have the pace, they're going to attack you under every braking zone.
See what Ryan Blaney's doing, trying to run down Joey Logano. A lot of work in there. Look at the hand movement. Lots of work.
Teammates at Team Penske.
Now he knows Logano's got a little bit older tire. Older tires don't break as well either. So good opportunity to try to outbrake Joey.
All right, Jeff, explain to everybody at home that tap with the right foot, even under braking.
Yeah, that's a simply you got to get the RPMs up in the engine before you downshift. If you don't, the rear tires will start jumping up and down. You got to get the RPMs up, or everything will get meshed up. So you can break transmissions, you can break rear ends, all those parts and pieces. Parker.
Well, guys, as you were talking about, Steve, that 22 car, Joe Logano, staying out on those old tires and how oh, wait, we got a pass. Looks like Harvick's trying to hold off Truex here, looking at the inside. But real quick, the tires, you know, it's the first 2 or 3 laps maybe that the new tires matter. From there, if Logano can hang on, it's like they equalize. It's very odd. They're very hard tire. They don't wear out a ton. You just start to lose speed from the heat that gets in them.
So, Steve, Denny Hamlin, remember, had some damage to the front end of his car. He came in on lap 10. Martin Truex Jr. waited until the last moment. He came in on lap 13. So 2 different strategies. Does Denny Hamlin run into any kind of an issue with fuel because he came 3 laps earlier than Martin Truex Jr. did?
That was inside the window. Everybody's fine. Basically, you're just trying to get this race, as silly as this sounds, the last stage cannot be running a tank of fuel. So you're just trying to get to pit one time at the end of this stage, hopefully right before the yellow. So everybody's kind of in the windows. Let's do a quick update, though. So we have Denny Hamlin leading the race. He came at lap 10, under green, normal road course strategy, everything good. The guy behind him, Martin Truex Jr., we think has one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. He also pitted before the yellow. He's in second. The real update is you go back further, we got to wait on him and wait, and here he comes into the picture, that white and blue 9 of Chase Elliott. Remember, he was the winner of the first stage. Well, the penalty of winning and staying out was coming to pit road under yellow. All the cars in front of him had already pitted, so that puts Chase Elliott just inside the top 10. We know he has a great race car, Rick. You mentioned fuel. Everybody's kind of in the same area. Now, he has that playoff point, so he's not striking out, but look at all the cars he's going to have to pass to get back to Martin Truex.
Right behind Chase, a 95 car, Christopher Bell's got a little right front damage. You see the splitter, guys, is raised up on that car, and a lot of big curbs, especially that new chicane on the front straightaway. It looks like he's knocked the grill, whole rack of the splitter is moved up on that car.
You don't have to worry about the curbs on that thing anymore. It'll go right over the curb.
But Junior, we've seen speeds of 180 miles an hour on this racetrack. How bad will that handle with the way the front end is on this?
It's not optimum, so it's gonna affect the balance of the car and mostly the high speed stuff. But it's gonna make the car harder to turn into the corners and slow him down just a little bit. Dylan.
Well, and obviously this has been an unforeseen challenge, this edition of this splitter being pushed up. But talking with Christopher before the race, he said he feels like this was an opportunity to be great here. They had a lot of speed. They've had a lot of speed the last couple weeks, but he also was battling whether he wanted to just play conservative and just roll around here to get a good finish. But overall, they've been really happy with the progress they made in this 95 car. Christopher, of course, signing the contract to go race for Joe Gibbs next year. That pressure has been lifted off his shoulders. So running well beside the top 10.
And also announced, or it was made aware, that they purchased that charter from the 95 Bob Levine Racing. So now they will be a 2-car team going to 21.
Yeah, most famously here at Daytona, we saw a Spire car win in the rain. Well, technically lightning, a year ago in July. So as you mentioned, now a 2-car team. The 19 of Martin Truex Jr. guys, he has caught Denny Hamlin and kind of stalking him, trying to figure out the best position to go by.
Yeah, he's closed in as they approach the front straightaway chicane. They move up the racetrack and get this entry to be able to do a lot of straight line braking into this corner. Really helps set up for that chicane.
Anytime you can brake straight on a road course, it's way easier to get the car slowed down. We saw earlier Kyle Busch drag that left front tire. Some of that is because there's less weight on that left front tire. So you can brake straight, it puts it. Oh, look at the speed that Truex drove into turn 1. Wow.
He seems to have a lot of confidence and understanding about how far he can get down into turn 1. That could pay off later in the race on restarts and so forth.
How much is that also just letting the guy know, hey, my car's probably faster than yours?
I don't think it's any of that. I just feel like that, these guys are so inexperienced on this track, you're going to have a lot of, you know, guys, different variable speeds entering corners throughout the day.
Yeah, and keep in mind, he drove in the corner that deep, but then he beat him off the corner, right? So, you know, it's some of Martin experimenting, trying something different. You know, just because you drive in the corner deeper doesn't mean you make better lap time. But Martin Truex Jr. learned something right there. By the way, Denny Hamlin did too. They both, when Martin did that, Denny learned something about how important it is to hit your marks. Leave on corner exit with good speed.
Back up onto the high banks. Again, these two running 1 and 2, Hamlin and Truex Jr. Then it's Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, and Ryan Blaney all in the top 5. Brad Keselowski. Michael McDowell is running in the 7th position. Said this is a great opportunity for him, driving that 34 for front row. Kyle Busch running 8th, 9th Chase Elliott, and Christopher Bell is running 10th as we go NASCAR nonstop.
Awesome internet. It's more than just fast. It keeps all your devices running smoothly. With built-in security that protects your kids, no matter what they're up to. Protects your info, and gives you 24/7 peace of mind. That if it's connected, it's protected.
Here, want a treat?
Even that pet camera thingy. Can your internet do that? Xfinity XFi can, because it's simple, easy, awesome.
Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR.
From sandy blonde to jet black. When it comes to a great-looking gray-free beard, trust the new Just for Men. The easiest way to put your best face forward. The same great results in just 5 minutes at home. Just for Men mustache and beard. Be the better man you are and look the part.
Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance with peak savings. Earn up to $30 in savings at the pump and in the store with the Sunoco credit card. Download the Sunoco app today to learn more. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. Visit SunocoRewards.com for more details. Fuel your best.
This summer, we've all got miles to make up. Miles to the job site, to the campsite, and anything else we set our sights on. Miles back to those who can make this summer mean more than ever. We can help you get the most out of those miles during the Ram Summer Clearance Event.
Right now, get $1,250 bonus cash on the 2020 Ram 3500. Go to ram.com to shop and buy today.
Now, only in the Subway app or online. Any footlong is a $5 footlong when you buy 2. Even the new barbecue rib. Subway, eat fresh.
I am the future, and I am now.
How about win at Daytona?
I am a face you may not know, with a number you may not know.
Ross Chastain back on Allgaier.
But you will. Trust me, you will. I am going to make sure my name will be the one you'll remember forever. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I am NASCAR.
The Stanley Cup playoffs are in NBC primetime. Philly is flying high, but will they soar past Montreal? Flyers, Canadians, tonight, 8 Eastern on NBC.
The official app of NASCAR puts race coverage, live in-car cameras right at your fingertips. You can unlock premium content today with a free trial and get access to team radio communications as well. Search NASCAR on your app store. You can visit NASCAR.com/mobile during the NASCAR Nonstop. You saw the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. take the lead away from Denny Hamlin. Here's how it happened.
Yeah, this is going in the back straightaway. Chicane. Truex gets a great run on the exit of the chicane, Jeff. Just too much speed and ability through that corner. Looks like that 19 just a little bit better right now.
Yeah, a little bit faster. And all that got set up really all the way back in turn 6, the last corner before you lead on to what is NASCAR turn 1 and 2. And that enabled him to keep that speed up all the way down the back straightaway and get position on him. And Ryan Blaney been having a good run.
He's definitely been tough here. Hey, diehard fans, you can create your best rendition of the iconic Start Your Engines for a chance to be featured during Indy 500 pre-race coverage, plus a chance to win an Advance Auto Parts gift card. Submit your video at callingalldiehards.com. And make sure not to forget to tweet with hashtag IndyCar and hashtag YIMADiehard. As we heard from Marco Andretti winning the pole for the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500.
Looks like Blaney, and this is on board Kurt Busch's car. Blaney gives him a little bumper right there. And here in the chicane on the back straightaway. Watch the driver shot here.
Go.
What? Don't you know I'm here?
You know what's funny when you drive? Oh, look at a little pressure there. When you're driving that thing, you're doing that. You actually think he can see you.
Yeah.
You're like,
You mean they can? Because I do that on the interstate a lot. No, nothing. Couple cars to update too, Rick. We talked about Joey Logano, who had yet to come to pit road. He pitted. He'll be back in the 35th position. We're just going to have to see as this strategy pays out. Now Blaney under attack by Chase Elliott in the 9. We documented he gave up those positions for staying out to win stage 1. Now he's up inside the top 10. This will be for the 5th position.
Yeah, top 5 now for Chase Elliott after winning stage 1. Only 7 to go, so just past the halfway of this second stage. And Chase Elliott, again, winning stage 1. When he came to pit road at the end of stage 1, quite a few drivers had stayed out because of coming prior to the end of that first stage. Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, all in front of Chase Elliott right now.
Jimmy Johnson, we talked about him early in the race, finished third in that first stage. He's on that same strategy, Steve, that Chase Elliott is on, and he is driven back up right now to 13th. So he has not been able to get through the field like Chase Elliott was able to. Parker.
And I was just going to bring that up in terms of Jimmy Johnson, who stayed out there third on that on stage 1, got 8 points as we watch his march to try and make it in the playoffs. Remember, he came into this race 18th, 26 points out of making the playoffs, so getting those points in stage 1 was really important. He's had a lot of speed over this road, as you noted, driving from 20th up to 13th. Very happy inside that race car, Dave.
So Parker, the 34, Micah McDowell, started 28th, got all the way up to 7th, now runs 11th. And Rick mentioned his opportunity. We asked Michael this week, how do you not put too much pressure on yourself? And he said, experience. The first time I went out to a road course, which is, of course, what I grew up with, he said, I tried so hard, I thought I was going to destroy the field, and then I nearly missed the race. So I've learned, only do what you can do. One of the things is get through all this traffic, Dylan.
And Dave, one of the cars in that mess is the 24 of William Byron, who's having a good day so far up inside the top 10. Talking with Chad Canals' crew chief, he said he feels like these road courses, and specifically the Roval-style courses like this one, are some of William Byron's best tracks. Felt like they could have won the Roval last fall, but just had to make a couple strategical calls for stage points perspective. But they really felt like this was going to be a good day for them, and so far they're having one. Also, Jordan Taylor, who's of course a veteran of the IMSA Sports Car Series, a Rolex 24 winner as well, has worked with all of the Hendrick Motorsports drivers leading into this event at the Chevy Sim back in North Carolina. That has paid dividends as well here in the early going, just as far as William knowing what to expect as he works his way through traffic.
A lot of traffic back there behind the driver of the 19, Martin Truex Jr. was able to take the lead away from Denny Hamlin, and some of Martin Truex Jr.'s fans celebrating virtually on Zoom. And issues for the 18, Kyle Busch struggling now. We saw the mistake when he had a braking issue getting into the chicane. He's back on track and back headed the right direction. Universal Orlando Resort is now open with updated safety measures like social distancing, face coverings, and more, plus all the thrills and excitement you've been missing. When you're ready for us, we're ready for you at Universal Orlando Resort. Want to take a look at the Toyota driver update. Martin Truex Jr. is out front. Denny Hamlin. Those two have been putting on a great show here at the road course at Daytona. They're running 1 and 2. Christopher Bell is up in the top 10, running in the 8th position, but he's got a little bit of damage to the front end of that. And then we just saw Kyle Busch, who's running 13, as he went off track just as we were going to commercial break. We saw he got back on. Parker.
48 and Jimmy Johnson pits out of 12th place. I thought they might go all the way to the end of the stage, hoping to pick up some stage points. He felt a thump in one of his tires. You can see the team's going to run out there and put a patch on the front as well. He got some damage on the nose and had a hole in it. This should help them be able to flip the stage, Steve, but definitely doesn't get them those stage points.
No, they're going to give up stage points, but I expect the majority of the field to come to pit road. But
Steve, what do you think about this? You know, Florida afternoon, you almost expect showers, and I think these teams probably have to be looking at any kind of radar.
Well, so let's make sure the fans at home understand. If we were racing on the high banks at Daytona, a shower would delay the race, perhaps end the race, but not on the road course. On the road course, rain tires are available. These teams have 3 sets. So if we see a pop-up rain shower, they will have the opportunity to come down and put rain tires on, and the racing continues. And if you think this track is slick now, go ahead and put a couple inches of water on it.
Got a really hard tire in a very, very slick infield course. You're going to have wheel hopping. That's what that sounds like. Kyle Busch gets into turn 6. And there's nothing you can do to stop it, Jeff.
Yeah, it's made even more difficult because there's somebody in front of you, right? The only thing you can do is push the clutch in or even go to the throttle a little bit. But if you do that and somebody's in front of you, you're going to run them over.
Dave.
Chase Elliott will bring the Chevrolet to pit road and take on 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. Hasn't been bad for him. Adjustments helped him a little bit. Remember, he was going to do some adjusting himself. A lot of that the drivers can do when it's a road course situation, and Chase is an expert at it, Parker.
And I think that's what Kevin Harvick's been doing inside that Ford car, because he's been very quiet, has only really remarked on the drive-off issues inside that Ford car. It should be an air pressure. Actually, you'll see a wrench go in the right rear there to try to add some lateral grip, Dylan.
Kyle Busch back in as well, past maybe more cars than anybody today, battling still a loose condition, a wheel hopping condition as well. 4 tires and fuel. We're going to try and get that thing snugged up and behaving a little bit better for Kyle Busch as he's down and away.
It's been a struggle for Kyle. He was running up front early in the race, had a problem where he flat spotted the tires getting into the new chicane twice. Came to pit road, changed the tire, and ever since then has really been battling.
He has been, and think about this, guys. So we saw him flat spot the left front, right? So that means too much brake in the front, right? And then we just saw him wheel hop, which means too much brake in the rear. So how is Kyle Busch going to find a way to have enough speed in the braking zones when we've seen him have 2 issues on the braking? That's a challenge that he and this team are going to have, because you can't fix both of those things. You're going to have to try to get by with one of them. You're not going to be able to fix both of them, REC.
Jeff, don't bring physics into it. I've been trying to challenge physics for 20 years, and I can never do it. But your point is absolutely right. You know, I'm sure that's why he has wheel hop. Remember, he locked the front tire up early. That says, I got to change my brake bias. I put it to the rear a little bit. Then you spin out with wheel hop. So, you know, pick which you want. Now, fortunately, that man we see right there, Kyle Busch behind the wheel, while he is well, I'm sure he's frustrated, he's great at driving a race car. He's going to have to learn how to manage this. Dave.
The 19 of Martin Truex Jr. gives up the lead to come in for these tires. And by the way, guys, as you start talking about rain, I caught up with James Small, the crew chief for this car this morning, when he was eyeballing the rain tires. I said, what about those? He said, I hope we don't have to put them on. I'm not sure Martin Truex has ever run in the rain. We'll find out if that has to happen today.
Well, Martin Truex Jr., we talked to him earlier this week, and he mentioned, you know, the Busch North races, go-kart races on road courses. He has road course experience. That's why he's so good right now driving in these Cup cars. So at some point in time, I'm sure Martin Truex Jr. has been out there on a road course in the rain.
Hey, he's got me convinced. I tell you, another driver that has great history when it comes to road courses. He's won out at Sonoma. He had a couple top 5s here at the Roval. You know, he's currently in the 2nd position. Why that matters is because he's 14th in points. So he is actually looking pretty good when it comes to the end of the stage. And we're hearing from NASCAR.
Oh, boy.
Big change of events for Martin Truex Jr. in the 19. You see it on the bottom left of your screen. Too fast exiting. Oh, boy, when a racing, you're only going to see 3 pit stops. This is going to definitely hurt the 19. Now, luckily, he's so fast that he can service penalty and probably stay somewhere in the top 25. But there you go, pass through.
Pit road's closed. I don't really know what they want us to do. Stand by.
Stand by. So James Small is saying, listen, the penalty is a pass-through, but pit road is closed. So he's going to confirm with NASCAR very calmly. I believe NASCAR is going to tell them.
Stay out.
There you go. The spotter's going to say to stay out at this point. So now this is actually worse for the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. because if pit road was open, he could do a pass-through. He'd lose about 22 seconds, which is about 10 spots in this spread-out field. But actually, the penalty is going to be the tail of the field on the whole field.
Yes.
So he's going to lose every bit of track position. Just I won't say an unfortunate turn of events. It's a mistake. It's not unfortunate. It's a mistake. He went too fast. I mean, it is unfortunate for the 19, but Jeff, you mentioned that 11 Ben Offender in. Now we see the 19 of Truex with another mistake. 2 Joe Gibbs cars that both probably had a chance of winning the race with issues. The 11 has recovered so far. We'll see if the 19 can.
So many drivers talked about eliminating mistakes. That was going to be the key to this race. Dave.
And Jeff, that's one of the... There you go, assessing the penalty on the restart. And one of the hard things for these teams without practice and qualifying, they don't get a chance to test those things. Remember that one pass down pit lane under caution on the pre-pace laps. That's when they checked all this. And I heard crew chief saying, hey guys, let's make sure we get this right. A lot of the Truck Series drivers who raced here earlier today got it wrong. And this is one of the teams that pushed the limit just a little bit too close.
We mentioned about the gearing. We saw some cars stalling because of first gear. You know, one more decision you have to make in a road course is, are you going to run first or second gear on pit road speed? There's a lot of things that go into these new tracks. I don't know what the situation is with the 19, whether perhaps it's just, you know, whether the car isn't running smooth or he just pushed it too fast.
Kurt Busch chasing down Corey LaJoie. LaJoie running in the 10th position now, so he's up in the top 10. Corey LaJoie, son of Randy LaJoie, who was a 2-time Xfinity Series champion. And Kurt Busch goes by him.
Let's listen to Kurt Busch's throttle.
We've got
so hard to get rear grip.
We got to look at the 11 though, because Denny Hamlin is about to win stage 2. So Denny Hamlin, after teammate Martin Truex Jr. comes to pit road before pit road closed, then has a speeding penalty. Denny Hamlin stays out. He's going to get potentially the win here. Looks like a little bit slow coming out of that chicane, but that'll be his 5th stage win of 2020. Clint Bowyer will come home in 2nd. Then is Blaney and Byron right here for 3rd and 4th.
That was an old school move you saw from Denny Hamlin there, giving Corey LaJoie his lap back. We used to do that a lot. Don't see that much anymore.
Yeah, and interesting, those two have had some social media battles. So Denny Hamlin is going to end up winning stage 2. We'll see if it works out for the end of the race for him. Stage 2 is complete of the Go Bowling 235 at the Daytona Road Course. And it was Denny Hamlin winning stage 2. Earlier this week, Verizon teamed up with NASCAR to salute our frontline healthcare workers. The display of vehicles, including NASCAR haulers, took a trip by Advent Health in Daytona, Florida, where they celebrated frontline workers and their efforts to help keep the local community safe. In addition to the celebration, Verizon provided meals to the hospital staff. Thanks to Verizon and NASCAR for saluting these local heroes.
So Rick, we were just discussing kind of under break that 19 of Martin Truex Jr., who's in the 7th position after his pit stop. The unfortunate timing, so he's too fast, which is a pass-through penalty, but pit road was closed because it was within 2 laps. Why that matters is the field was so strung out, Truex could have passed through the pit road, cleared his penalty, and probably rejoined in like the 15th position. Now, Burton, because they're going to have him at the end of the field, he's going to basically restart 35th, 37th on this.
Yeah, it would not have been much of a penalty, would it? I mistakenly made a comment that Denny Hamlin was giving Corey LaJoie's lap back. I saw a blue and white car, and that's just what I thought it was. That was popped in my head, but that was actually James Davidson, who, by the way, guys, will be running the Indy 500 next weekend.
Yeah, qualified 27. Dylan.
Clint Boyer in at the top of your screen. Stage points, their MO today. They've got more than anybody right now. Clint reporting he's loose laterally, going to make an air pressure adjustment, throw a bag of ice in there as well, Dave.
Chassis adjustment for stage winner Denny Hamlin. He was a little bit free on the right-handers, needs a little bit more forward fight as well, and a drink bottle. It's hot, Parker.
And Ryan Blaney just been struggling on the brakes, really not able to use the brake how he wants. Keeps getting lockup in the rears as he pulls away. He finished third in that stage, getting 8 points.
Clint Boyer wins off pit road. Denny Hamlin, Blaney, Truex up 3 spots, but he's gonna have to go to the rear. The rear story might be, guys, that weather right there, 8 miles away, coming east to the racetrack. Change things up.
NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Die Hard Batteries, now available at Advance Auto Parts. Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR, perfect for race fans. Sonic, this is how we Sonic. And by Liberty Mutual Insurance, only pay for what you need.
Check out the greatest selection of t-shirts, hats, diecasts, and much more for all your favorite drivers. Visit NASCAR.com/shop. Our buddy Rutledge Rudd has been bringing us some great stories this weekend from his house. What you got? Hey, Rut.
Hey, Dale. Yeah, you know what? We checked in with a lot of Cup drivers yesterday. Today, we're going to check in with Austin Cindric, the guy that won the Xfinity Series race yesterday. Austin, first off, congrats. Hey, tell everybody at home, are you seeing today in the race what you thought you might see after yesterday's win?
Yeah, obviously a lot of challenges ahead for the Cup drivers today. Like Parker talked about, I mean, it's really hot out. I was surprised, honestly, how long our race took. But yeah, a lot of challenges, and then we were really able to combat those with helps of, between track time at the Rolex. That's something I had the advantage of. Kyle Busch has also run that race this past year, and being able to use the Ford simulator has been big for myself and a lot of the Ford drivers, and those guys for working hard on making that right.
Austin, thanks for joining us, buddy. We appreciate you. Have fun. Congrats again on the win. Rick,
yeah,
it's going to be good.
Approaching the Geico restart zone. That's the 9 of Chase Elliott up there. And a great start for this final stage. And now here comes Kurt Busch, putting the pressure right on the back bumper of that 9 of Elliott.
Look for the intensity to pick up on these restarts later in the race. You see already how wild turn 1 can be.
And Harvick's got contact. He's around.
Harvick sliding through the grass.
Hold her down, hold her down. You're going to jump back up.
Christopher Bell got in the back of him.
Just hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Come on.
All you can do is just sit there and wait for him to go by.
Well, he was running second, and now he's last.
Who did that, Timmy? 95 punted us.
95. They're calling out Christopher Bell. Let's see if that's what happened.
So they're in the braking zone of turn 3, coming out of turn 2, right there on the left of your screen. The 4 starts braking, and the 95 just wasn't ready. Just a mistake by the 95, I'm sure, is unintentional, but it did. It's a big penalty for Harvick. He's not going to be happy about that.
It's right along with Kevin.
Left side, left side. Left side tight. Keep digging. Still left side.
Man, that's so frustrating.
Look at Kevin looking.
Just hold her down, hold her down. You're going to jump back up.
That's so frustrating when you don't have a chance at saving it. You have no chance at saving it. You know you're going to lose all these positions.
It's the worst way to get hit. You're under braking. The back of the car is picked up. The back of the car is light. Then you get hit in the back, and around it goes. Christopher Bell wasn't expecting Kevin Harvick to brake right there. Christopher was thinking he was going to drive in the corner a little deeper. Yeah.
The first question, though, through the radio, who did that to us?
Yeah, you want to know. You got a list on your dash. You add that number to it.
That explains a lot.
With 6 wins already in 2020, I would expect Kevin Harvick maybe to cooler minds will prevail. I don't think he's going to go after the 95, but obviously not happy about how that went down for him. But a lot of racing still to go.
A lot of racing still to go with Chase Elliott leading, Kurt Busch second. Mike McDowell currently third, and this isn't by luck or pit strategy or fuel. Mike McDowell has driven his car up to the top 5. They have played a nice, efficient race. So as they come to screen right here, Chase Elliott, the white and blue car, Kurt Busch, that black number 1, and here comes Michael McDowell in that red and black number 34. We heard Dylan Welch talk to him before the race and count down to green, and he was optimistic, didn't want to get over too optimistic. He has so much experience at this racetrack, and we heard about the weather potentially coming. Dale Jr., if it rains, I'm only thinking that's going to help this 34 out even more.
Yeah, I agree. It's getting a little bit closer, probably about 6 miles away. Definitely could be a factor here in a very short period of time.
If that does come, the other thing that I think about is the experience that the Xfinity drivers have had. So think about Christopher Bell, who's sitting there running 8th. He has run in the rain. Xfinity Series, it seems like they race in the rain a lot. They get it a lot. So that experience could pay off for him as well.
Yeah, you mean like in years past, because Cup, the only Cup I've seen in the wet was what, a practice at Watkins Glen.
That's it.
Where we've seen a lot of Xfinity races. Just last week at Road America, at one point they had rain tires on.
McDowell likes Daytona, by the way. He was 5th in the Daytona 500. Take a look at this, though.
Martin Truex Jr. made some contact with the 13 car of Ty Dillon there in that chicane, and now there's a tire rub similar to his teammate Denny Hamlin earlier in the race. That could bring the 19 to pit road again.
Yeah, think about how much harder it is racing in the back. Right out front, he and Denny Hamlin were battling at clean air, clean racetrack, and now he's got to drive himself through all these people, and that exposes you to danger, exposes you to getting tore up.
As you see Mike McDowell in the 34 trying to hold off the 2 of Brad Keselowski. So Rick, 35 laps complete, 30 laps to go this next time by. A fuel run. We told you earlier it was question marks. We didn't really know. Well, from the information we're getting, we're hearing anything from 20 to 22 laps, which is a lot farther than they have currently, or excuse me, which is nowhere near as far as they have left in the race. So everyone have to make another pit stop. The rain is really the big question if I'm a crew chief, right? Do I think we will get rain? Because that will be a yellow flag condition. That may determine when I come to pit road.
And if rain does happen, NASCAR is going to throw a caution for the rain. That would be what would signify it, as we see the 4 coming to pit road now.
Right, Rick, and it was Kevin who came on the radio and said that after going a lap, he had to pit. Those tires were flat spot after getting spun down into turn 3. You see they put 4 tires here, and as you mentioned, Steve, they can't go all the way from here, so they need a caution or that rain to come to get back in this one.
Yeah, they can't go all the way. And Rick, as you were just mentioned, yep, they'll throw a caution, and as a team, you can or cannot put on rain tires, whatever you would like.
It'll be your choice. Well, NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Together, tastes better. And by Go Bowling. Go to GoBowling.com. Find a center near you. And with Bowling Center safely open in 45 of the 50 states around the nation, Go Bowling invites you to join Go Bowling America. It's a fun, non-competitive fall league. To learn more and see how you can receive your very own bowling ball, visit GoBowlingAmerica.com. We go NASCAR nonstop.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we're not going to leave anything on our plates because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
We love our new home. There's so much space.
We have a guest room now.
But we have ants.
You're slouching again, Ted.
Expired. Expired. Expired.
Thanks, Aunt Bonnie.
It's a lot of house. I hope you can keep it clean.
At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
Which helps us save a lot of money.
Oh, Teddy, did you get my friend request?
I'll have to check.
Aunt Joni's here.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Game-changing, super hydrophobic, ultra durable, and affordable. Mother's revolutionary CMX ceramic spray coating. Just spray it on and wipe it off. Join the revolution.
If you're ordering McDonald's and your friend says they don't want fries, get them the fries. Or else your fries will be their fries. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Awesome internet. It's more than just fast. It keeps all your devices running smoothly. With built-in security that protects your kids, no matter what they're up to. Protects your info and gives you 24/7 peace of mind. That if it's connected, it's protected. Even that pet camera thingy. Can your internet do that? Xfinity XFi can, because it's simple, easy, awesome.
Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR.
I am the one, back with a full throttled roar. I am the intersection of chaos, karma, love, legacy, family, and flag. I am the place where we can be as one, united from the four corners of our beloved sport, back with one thunderous return. I am ready for you, if you are ready for me. I am NASCAR.
The Stanley Cup playoffs are in NBC primetime. Philly is flying high, but will they soar past Montreal? Flyers, Canadiens, tonight, 8 Eastern on NBC.
Caution has just come out in the Go Bowling 235 at the Daytona Road Course for lightning in the area. We had mentioned the storms coming through. We know that they can race in the rain, but if there is lightning, NASCAR will bring everyone onto pit road. They will stop the cars and they will red flag the race, and that is the situation right now. There has been a lightning strike within the 8-mile radius of the racetrack, and for safety purposes, that is why the caution has come out. They'll bring the cars onto pit road and a red flag will be displayed. And Dylan, prior to that happening, we were hearing stories the 27, J.J. Yeley, had issues in the car.
Yeah, a bit of a scare actually down here. J.J. Yeley was in the 27 car and came down pit road during that last cycle of stops, and they had the window net down, and they were kind of trying to blow some cold air on him, and I wasn't exactly sure what was happening, so he got sent back out, came back around the racetrack, and immediately pulled off right at the head of pit road behind the wall and got out of the car and basically just collapsed to his knees, just super overheated. The team said that the cool box in these cars was just blowing hot air on him, so maybe even hotter inside his race car than some of the other race cars. But JJ got out, was immediately tended to by the AMR track medical team, was loaded on a golf cart, taken to medical. Bailey Curry is now in that car. The team said of all the people left on this property, he's the only one that had his uniform and helmet, so he was ready, waiting to get in the car as soon as JJ got out. He strapped in and he's on the racetrack now in the 27. But scary situation down here. It is a tough day for these guys behind the wheel of these race cars.
A lot of hard work, and obviously J.J. Yeley, if that cool box wasn't working properly for him, making it even harder.
Yeah, it's just humid down here in Florida. Already hot temperatures, and the drivers, look at that. It's Ryan Blaney he looks hot. He looks hot. Yeah. He's uncomfortable.
Well, we saw earlier Kyle Busch. He had already sweat through his uniform.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the visor up, right? They got a cool box pumping cold air into that helmet. But he'd rather have the visor up because the wind actually coming in the car feels better to him than anything coming through that helmet, that cool box. That tells you, because the cool box sort of gets canceled out in real extreme heat like this.
Keep in mind also with road course racing, how hot the brakes are, how hot the transmission is, the rear end, all of those things, and all that heat transfers directly into the car. So everything around, it gets so hot in the car, if you take your gloves off and grab the shifter, it'll burn you. Like if you just hold on to that shifter, it will actually burn you. That's how hot everything gets.
And Parker, you have experience firsthand. Earlier today, you were in a truck racing under these conditions.
Right, Rick, and you guys were mentioning it there, watching Ryan Blaney go around, put his hand out. That's how I was getting there, and that's the thing. You know, Dale, you talked about those cool blowers. Well, they get canceled out, and then eventually you're sort of struggling for air, and it's not just the heat. It's the idea of getting fresh air just to your face. You know, you feel like you're just constantly looking for the air as you look at Ryan trying to get that air through his hand and force it into the cockpit. So another update, just how hot it is on pit road. The 96 car, Daniel Suarez, has had a pit crew member have to go to the medical center from heat exhaustion, and also a mechanic so far in this race. So it's just brutal conditions all around for everyone down here.
So you literally stick your hand out the window and try to shape the air into the car to hit you in the face. Try doing that down the highway on the interstate, using your hand to sort of direct air into your face to get you some comfort.
So it's a hot day, and again, storms coming through, or at least a pop-up shower. Lightning strike within the 8-mile radius has a caution coming out.
You guys have talked a lot about the temperature. Rick, you just talked about the weather right here, but we noticed Kyle Busch. This is under green flag from earlier, and I don't remember seeing this. I've seen a lot of in-car cameras, but just look at Kyle Busch's chest and torso, how heavy he's breathing. This is a man that will run 3 races in a weekend, no problem, run 1,000 miles, won't care. But look at, he is fit, just the physical exertion. I mean, that really shocked me when I saw it. So to your point, Jeff, it's not just the heat and Dale Jr., the humidity, but I would have to say that, you know, the physical effort, unlike a loading of an oval, right? It's just everything. It's shifting both directions. I mean, do you find it physically more challenging to run these road courses?
I think for sure. It's definitely physically more challenging. It's also, I don't want to say it's emotionally more challenging, because a plate race is emotionally challenging, but physically for sure. And having to think about every single corner and have, you know, the precision it takes. Dylan.
Well, Kyle just came on the radio as the cars are brought down pit road and suggested that they just take the right side windows out of these cars just to get some more cool air in here. Obviously, they have to run them normally on the ovals just because of the high speed. But, I mean, Jeff and Dale, is that something that you think could be done? I mean, with that, it obviously would help, but could you do it just from an engineering standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, you could take the windows out, Steve. I mean, the crew members could come and take it out and put it back in, but I don't think NASCAR is going to think that's a good idea.
I'd ask them to take it out and leave it out. I'd raise it out.
Yeah.
You would until you get down to that first high-speed corner and that guy went by you.
Yeah. I tell you, man, it's
He is right, though. We pick on that right side window, but you and I have had these conversations. You know, short tracks, we didn't used to run them, and now they run about everywhere. And it does increase the temperature in the car. It's in there for safety, though, Rick. And we saw 190 miles an hour. That right side window, when this car gets sideways, the flip-over speed is much, much lower, or excuse me, much, much higher. You have to be going way faster to get airborne. Take the right side window out, these cars can get airborne quicker.
I think the reason why these guys are struggling more today, another addition to the typical problems you face, is that they don't know this track. You almost are holding your breath and you're tense. You're working much, much harder trying not to make a mistake. You know, at other racetracks where we have a lot of time and a lot of laps, we know where we can relax. We know where we can mentally and physically relax going around this racetrack. These guys aren't allowing themselves to do that because they don't trust themselves to do that.
Well, also, you know, when we do run Daytona, we used to run Daytona in July, right? There were years, I mean, we saw you as a kid on the beach. Well, that could have been post-race.
Yes, it was.
Dropped the green flag at 10 in the morning. I mean, you start really early, and of course, you know, the last many years we've been starting at night where the temp's down. And today, you're right in the middle of the heat. Summer in Florida. So it's hot, but you cannot, Martinsville and road courses on hot days are the hottest times you'll be in a race car. It is just, you know, because the brakes, the transmission, all that heat just comes into the car.
Drivers have climbed out of the cars, and the driver of the number 9, Chase Elliott, had this to say about the heat.
Do you want anything, food, anything to eat, anything like that? Not really hungry, but, you know, cold towel and some ice there again. Honestly, like a ice water, you know, like ice in a cup would be nice too on top of the ice bag.
So, Rick, basically all of this hot talk and my severe lack of talent, well, I was a crew chief and not a driver because it was much more comfortable on top of the pit box. So as these drivers climbed out, one thing I noticed, and Dale Jr., I was going to ask you, this wasn't quite around, I think, when Jimmy was still driving at Hendrick Motorsports. When he climbed out of the car, his undershirt had this black tubing kind of all over. I think we got a shot of him climbing out. If you look, we're going to zoom in. He's right there. That's Jimmy. That's his fireproof undershirt. And you see all the black tubing. Is that part of that cool system he runs?
Yeah, basically this plugs into a unit that'll push a cool gel a chemical through that shirt. And it is amazing. It is it's the best by far new invention that they've had over the years. I mean, the airbox was nice, but it sort of gets canceled out in the heat. But that thing right there was a good 20 to 30 degrees cooler than having nothing at all, and it's all on your torso. and it made a massive difference in how you would feel at the end of these races. And that's really the point, is to be at your best in the final moments when you need to buckle down and get it done. And Jimmy is the first one that I saw wear that vest. And, you know, you go around and tell everybody. I told the drivers at Junior Motorsports, I'm like, find out what that is. You need to try it. You'll love it. We talked to Christopher Bell when he first came into the Cup Series. He talked about one of the toughest things was going further in the race, the extra 100 miles, the extra 200 miles, how hot it was. And, you know, you try to convince those drivers to use all the tools that they can. Drivers are hard-headed, though. They don't want to ask for driver comforts. But and the crew chiefs are hard-headed, too. They don't want to give them the amperage that it takes to run these things. Be honest, Steve.
I mean, you had me at drivers being hard-headed. I mean, I was totally in. This crew chief being hard-headed thing, Rick, I'm not sure I buy that. Nope, don't believe him anymore.
Yeah, trying to keep that core temperature down with his body suit. There you see of Jimmy Johnson.
Truth hurts.
Peacock, NBC Universal's new streaming service, is filled with hit movies, current shows, sports, news, and exclusive originals, including my personal favorite, Lost Speedways, which is available to stream now for free. Join the flock at peacocktv.com. Rutledge Wood has had some great stories for us today. Earlier, he had Marco Andretti, Indy 500 pole sitter, on. I can't even imagine what's coming next. What's up, Rut?
Dale, it's crazy. That's my favorite show on Peacock, too. Don't be afraid, guys. It's me. I know you're thinking I look like Blue Demon Jr. No, check it out. This is a mask. Imagine if you had a Lucha Libre gym like Gabriel Ramirez does, PW Revolution, out in California, gets shut down because of COVID. What do? Well, he decided, I'm going to carry on this amazing tradition by making these incredible masks. My buddy Daniel Suarez sent me one so I could show them off. These are incredible, handmade. PW Revolution is their name on Twitter. They're supporting Daniel. Daniel's supporting them. It's super cool. And if you're a big fan of, say, the movie Nacho Libre, you can get one that looks like that. They've got tons of different styles to choose from. But guys, I don't want to lie. I feel like this seat right here is a little more comfortable than what some of those drivers are doing. Man, I thought I was sweating yesterday here in Atlanta, but it looks hot down there, Dale. Whew.
Extremely uncomfortable for some of these drivers. This weather might cool things off, though. Yesterday, we had same concern for the Xfinity drivers coming into the race, high temperatures, but when the weather came in, it dropped 10, 15 degrees, guys, and that could make things a little more bearable for the drivers to finish this event.
And so while we're under this weather delay and a red flag situation again for lightning, let's bring in our Charlotte NBC Sports studio and Brad Doherty and Kyle Petty. KP, what have you thought about the race so far?
You know what? All in all, I think it's been a fantastic race. Lot of good, close racing. A lot of mistakes made by guys who I felt like were not going to be the guys to make mistakes. I didn't expect that from Denny Hamlin. Did not expect it from Martin Truex. Did not expect some of the things that have happened to Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. But at the same time, I think we've seen some bright spots with Clint Bowyer, with Michael McDowell, some of those guys, some people that we don't usually hear from that are running up front and running competitive. So it's been very entertaining so far.
Yeah, I think the guys have done a great job of maintaining poise under pressure, you know, not running off the racetrack, over driving the corners, missing braking zones. So I think the racing's been very, very competitive. We have seen some mistakes as time has gone on, things we kind of would have just expect because of unfamiliarity, but I think it's been really, really good racing thus far. I'm glad we started to talk about the heat because it's something we kind of forgot about, but we are in Daytona in the middle of summertime. Jeff touched on it. It's got to be really hot in those race cars. So this will be interesting to see who bounces back, who gets refreshed and cooled down and can get back in and go forward. And we'll see who it takes a toll on as well.
Yeah, and listen, the heat is we can't stress. Listening to Junior talk about it, listening to Jeff Burton talk about it, we can't stress the heat enough to you people, to everyone sitting at home watching this on TV. It's like setting in an oven when the car stops. When air is not moving, when you can't stick your hand out the window. We heard Parker Kligerman talk about sticking his hand out the window. When you can't get some movement of some air and there's not enough coming through that air box and it's just stagnant air, it's absolutely like setting in a 130 or 40 degree air temperature-wise of it, because there's nothing there, and it takes its toll on the body. We saw Kyle Busch, his heavy breathing. We saw Jimmy Johnson get out in his cool suit, but everyone is soaking wet. The loss of fluids is phenomenal. These drivers, these athletes that set in this temperature all day long is crazy, and it affects your mental decisions, what you're thinking, how you're doing it, and when you start thinking about the heat more than you think about what you're doing, then you see more mistakes.
Yeah, and I would think the anxiety would start to creep in at this point because guys are mentally exhausted, and you're sitting there, and now you're starting to think about, is it going to rain? If that rain comes, it's going to be hot and steamy, you know, so you can sit there and get yourself pretty worked up, Rick, because it's going to get really hot as the day goes on.
I have to tell you this. Last time I remember being stopped at a race was Sonoma, and I was sitting behind Dale Jr.'s dad, Dale Sr., and the rescue squad comes out with like a crate full of water bottles, and they stop at Dale Sr.'s car. He's right in front of him. They stop. He takes one. He takes two. He takes three. And I'm like, my God, man, hurry back here to my car. I need a water bottle now. The rescue squads and those guys, again, they are right on top of these guys when they get out of a car.
They go right to the Intimidator first, though. You got to get him hydrated.
Man, I'm surprised that he took one.
He's too tough. He's too tough to need a bottle of water, right? Yeah. You know, the other thing, we talk about the heat, the heart rate of these guys. We've seen a lot of drivers that have worn heart rate monitors, and they will get their heart rates up over 180 beats per minute, and they'll sustain that for hours. And so another thing that is toiling on the health of these drivers. Is going to sweep Michigan. He wins again.
They call this place the Monster, and for good reason. He blew the field away here at the Dover International Speedway.
Chase Elliott, he's about to tame the monster. Martin Truex Jr. with a statement win here in Dover.
This race has been tough, but think about a double header, which is taking place next weekend. Both the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series are going to be having double headers, both running Saturday and Sunday. So 2 races for each series. Those will be on NBCSN. And of course, a busy weekend next weekend for motor racing, as the Indianapolis 500 will also be run next weekend. All right, so we've got into the final stage of this race. Lightning has come and stopped it for now, but we know that we can race in the rain. So even if the rain does come, they can put on the wet tires, get back out there. But from what we've seen, do some of these drivers want a chance getting on the wet tires and getting out on this racetrack?
Well, Rick, I think Michael McDowell is one driver that would love to see the rain, currently in the 3rd position in that 34 car. You mentioned it, the Lightning came. So that cell that was very dark that we showed you on the radar, it's kind of lost some of its yellows and reds, but it's still green. So I think the Lightning has maybe gone out of that cell, but the rain is still there. It won't take a lot of rain to wet this racetrack, and then it's up to the crew chiefs. When you put rain tires on, how long you stay on them, when do you go back to the dry? So even though, you know, a 65-lap race, a little over halfway complete, there's still a lot of racing and a lot of decisions left for these drivers and crew chiefs to make.
Yeah, and as we've seen on road courses in the past, as this race goes on and we get closer to the finish, restarts become crazier. And we saw yesterday, you know, turn 1 with a few laps left. I think they were 8 wide at one point. I mean, they went all over the racetrack. I expect to see that as well. I think that it's going to get way more aggressive. And if it rains, who knows what's going to happen down there? It's just going to be crazy. There's some drivers that want it, and some drivers that certainly want it to stay dry. You know, we talked about Jimmy Johnson all day. I want to continue that conversation. He's up to 4th. He's got a real shot at this thing, and he's earned good points today so far. But he's wanting that win and needing that win to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's over 20 drivers in the field with experience on this rain tire, whether in a Cup car or in the Xfinity car. Most of those guys in the Xfinity car. I remember back in 2000 when it rained at Watkins Glen, and I was begging my team to let me go out on the racetrack and drive on this tire. I knew that we could easily get in the guardrail and destroy the car, but I think all the drivers out there want that experience. They want to know what that's like. And we all, I think, would love to see NASCAR dive deeper into the possibility of running in the rain. and leaving the teams with a lot more adjustability and choices on how they approach that. So this is a great opportunity for the Cup Series should we get to race in the rain. I think all the drivers, for the most part, maybe a couple of them out there that think they've got this race won as it is, most of those guys are going to want to try driving in the rain and see exactly how their cars react. And, you know, I think it could be fun to watch as well.
Dale Jr., I remember that practice at Watkins Glen. I was a mechanic on Jeff Gordon's car, and we had an outlap, went by the start-finish line, and straight in the gravel in turn 1. And we were told that would be the last attempt we make at this practice in the rain, Rick. It sounded like fun until I spent all afternoon cleaning gravel out of the crush panels. That looks like a Jeff Burton, but much younger version.
Yeah, Martin and I, we went out. We were excited about it, and you know, have a shot. We figured we better learn, right? You better go try to learn and figure this out. And it actually wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. That was fun. I mean, it was a good time. I mean, as long as we didn't wreck anything. But I also remember that we were fast in that practice, and then it started to dry up a little bit, and we had parked our cars, and all of a sudden we were like 30th fastest because the track started drying. And I learned right then that any bit of dry you could find, even with those rain tires, it would be huge speed.
And again, it hasn't started to rain. The reason that the delay is happening right now is because a lightning strike in the area. The clock is on for that. Hopefully the drivers will get called back to their cars quickly. At the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, and anytime you come to this racetrack, it reminds you of the history of stock car racing. Well, one of the most iconic race car drivers of all time, Mario Andretti, talks about the history being made this weekend on the road course.
What makes something historic? What drives the desire to make history? Here, historic moments become legendary.
Mario Andretti, Daytona 500.
Now, what does it mean to be part of that history? To be immersed in the moment, to relish a specific point in time, never to be forgotten. History transcends generations. We've been through time and connecting the twists and turns of life. For decades, history has been made on these high banks and through the carousels and chicanes within, testing man and machine, pushing the limits to achieve greatness. We all hope to witness the incredible.
Trevor Bayne pulls the upset.
See the unbelievable.
Checkered flag, Harvick. Do you believe it? I can't believe it.
We long to be a part of that elusive moment that defines the experience. Bound to pages written for the future generations to come. Now, a new chapter in a historic book, a blank page in an epic novel, the outline of an image ready to be inked into history. Witness it, and you'll forever be connected to it. Be a witness to history.
We're all witnessing history, and somewhat history made today also from Indianapolis. The last time an Andretti was on the pole for the Indy 500 was 33 years ago. It was Mario Andretti, and now today Marco Andretti won the pole for the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500, which will be run next weekend. Drivers and crew members, you're seeing them head back to the car. That's a great sign. Any parent that has kids that are involved in soccer, you know how kind of the rule works. The NASCAR uses somewhat of the same rule. 30 minutes from a lightning strike that is within 8 miles of the racetrack. They wait that long, and once that clock has come to an end, they'll say, all right, let's get back in and we'll restart this event. And so that's what's happening right now. The drivers, the crew members are all being told, go back to the cars, get them ready. No rain has fallen on the racetrack yet, so we had mentioned also that they can race in the rain. There are wet tires here, so if rain were to fall, they could race, but the issue with lightning is what brought this to a halt, with still 28 laps to go in this race.
I always found red flags just hard to get re-engaged. Make sure whether it's your pit crew, your driver, maybe even yourself as a crew chief, get your notes back out. I don't know, it's just so easy. You kind of get amped up for the start of the race, and then you get settled in, and you're in the rhythm, and you're paying attention. Everything's coming at you. You're doing your calculations. Then there's this pause, this moment of time where it's hard to stay, probably impossible really, to stay kind of amped up and focused when there's nothing going on. But now you have to find a way to re-engage. As you mentioned, still a lot of racing to go.
The one thing I always did enjoy about it was being able to climb up on the pit box and sit down with the crew chief to dissect what the car's doing with a little more patience. You can't really do that while you're inside the car racing. And you get a chance to really sit down and try to describe and maybe come up with some ideas on some great adjustments that you can do going forward to help the car.
Yeah, the Daytona 500, you and I were fortunate to win. I think it had, I don't know, a 4 or 5 hour rain delay. It was the middle of the night. We just spent time that day talking about it, not over the radio, right? We could kind of work face to face like we would in practice.
But think about today, guys. They've never been here before. So think about the conversation today, a racetrack where you've never been, how much you have learned. In these 37 laps, the amount that you've learned is probably greater than any race that you've run since you got to this level.
Hey, look at Kyle Busch right there. He's definitely struggled. We've seen him with front tire lockup and rear tire wheel hop, and here he is currently sitting 6th. So even with all those struggles, Rick, he's kept himself in it. So those conversations that Dale Jr. and Jeff Burton mentioned, did he go talk to Adam Stevens? Did they have this type of conversation right here where, hey, you can see my hands, I can talk about things?
Well, names that we thought were going to be up front. Chase Elliott is up front. Jimmy Johnson currently in the 4th position. Kyle Busch is 6th. Other names, though, Denny Hamlin back in the 9th position. Martin Truex Jr., who has had issues. He's running in the 16th position right now. And a guy who was running up in the 2nd spot, Kevin Harvick, had an issue going into turn number 3, got the back tires lifted off the ground, spun around. He's currently scored 37th, the last car on the lead lap.
Yeah, Denny's back there, had run in the top 2 basically the whole race, committed to staying on the track to win stage 2. And that's put him back a little ways.
Somebody else having a good day. Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth, 12th. Not really known as being a great road racer, but this racetrack's working out well for him.
Another name that we don't normally talk about up front, at least in the top 5, is Michael McDowell. And you have Michael McDowell currently in the 3rd position. Is Jimmy giving some issues?
No, I know what that was. That hand signal, I know Jimmy Johnson well enough. That hand signal was, I was going down to turn 3, and here you came out of the grass backwards, coming at me. I didn't know where you came from. That's what that was right there. Kevin Harvick spin when he spin, the 95 got him, then the 95 almost got him again when he got to the corner. It was almost a 2-shot.
So the drivers will be climbing back in the car, strapping back in as we see Kyle Busch. He's getting strapped in.
And as a crew chief, I also mechanically worry. We talked about the heat. Well, a lot of fans are cooling different things. You hope your driver shut down all the batteries. You don't have a dead battery. You hope the car refires. These are steel brakes, so they were 1,500, 1,600, 1,800 degrees. Now they've cooled down dramatically. Have they cracked? Have something got to a point where now you're going to have a major vibration? All of those things, even engine failures. I'm not an engine guy, but it always seems like when you let one sit, then you fire back up and get it back up to temperature. You just hope everything kind of comes back to working order.
Drivers, how do you refocus? How do you refocus?
Well, I was going to say, as a driver also, one of the things that helps you get focused is the routine, right? So when you get in the race car at the beginning of a race, when you get in that race car, there's a routine that you go through, how you put your belts on, how you hook your Hans up. Someone there helping you do all that stuff. You need to keep that routine now. Don't forget anything. Make sure everything gets done.
See Bubba Wallace there with a tear off on the visor. Pretty smart decision to have something like that in a race. Anytime that's either going to race from daytime into the night or a race with weather that comes in that really darkens the racetrack with those clouds coming in, he'll be able to pull that tear off. And we see a lot of guys have some very, very dark visors. And if it does, which we think it will rain when that happens, being able to go to a clear visor without worrying about the glare of the sun could be an advantage to some drivers. Just be able to see some points on the racetrack of reference of where they need to be to make the apex of the corner and so forth. There's a clear visor already on the helmet of Michael McDowell.
This visor is a very driver preference, right? You see a lot of different colors, a lot of different shades. I've seen 4 shots of cameras and all 4 are different.
Yeah.
It's just...
That's something the driver sometimes doesn't, it skips their mind. It's great to have a really talented interior crew member that is on top of those type of things, always thinking about what the driver might have to face and prepare him with, having various different visors right there in the book bag next to the car to be able to change those out in a moment like this.
Once again, Kaz Grala is behind the wheel of the 3, and that's because Austin Dillon tested positive for COVID-19. That test came out yesterday, so the announcement was made that Kaz Grala would substitute. The other thing that is different about this weekend is NASCAR has said no drivers could run more than 1 event here. And so that made it a little more difficult to find a substitute driver in this situation.
Yeah, they did that because of brand new racetrack. They wanted to try to keep the playing field level, so someone like Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin or Martin Truex Jr. couldn't lean on their Toyota connection to find themselves a ride on Saturday. Normal circumstances with practice, they don't worry about that, but knowing that this green flag was going to be the first time that these drivers saw the race to put some rules in place, I thought it was a good decision. You mentioned Kaz Grala here. I actually looked up, sitting 22nd. The fact that we haven't called his name for a mistake, just doing a great job, right? I mean, just keeping
his first Cup start.
Yeah, keeping his car on track. He hasn't been in any issues. He's kept the ar in position in the last 20 laps. We have no idea where this could go.
Yeah, one thing I want to say too, who would have thought that this is the 4th race of this weekend, right? Ran ARCA, ran Xfinity, ran trucks a little while ago. Now the Cup race. Who would have thought a year ago that we would go to Daytona, run the road course, no practice, no qualifying, and it go as well as it's gone? It shows you, if you got to get out and think outside the box, you have the right people, you can make a lot of good stuff happen. And the teams, the drivers, NASCAR, everybody's done an incredible job. There's been mistakes made for sure. That's racing. But I'm just really proud of the sport. Everybody involved to make this happen. This weekend has been really special, very unique circumstances, and nobody complained, right? We heard concerns, but really no complaints. That's a great thing that the industry came together and find out how to do this and then make it happen.
Another great thing is the sound we just heard. The engine's fired back up again. And so that means we're going back to racing at Daytona International Speedway, again, the road course. And there are 28 laps to go. Cars rolling once again for the Go Bowling 235 at the Daytona road course. Getting ready to restart this final stage. On Wednesday, make sure to tune in to NASCAR Radio Channel 90. That's Sirius XM, NBC Sports. Brad Doherty is going to join the crew. Again, Wednesday at 9 a.m. Brad, part of the deal, when you join up with this crew, you get to also enjoy Wednesday mornings on Sirius XM. So we look forward to listening to Brad on Wednesday morning. So the weather, which again we were under not a rain delay but a lightning delay because there was a lightning strike within the 8-mile radius. That's the small circle there. It has come and gone, and look what else has come and gone. All the weather.
Yeah, I was for sure it was going to rain. Junior, you and I were looking at the radar, thought for sure, welcome to Florida in the summer. The rain builds, the rain disappears. Yeah, I think we're in the clear for a good while now, probably at least to the end of this race, but it's some more sails out there that could potentially get here. Dave.
And I'll tell you the feels like right now, Junior. Feels like about 10 degrees cooler. Wind is blowing. It's really kind of nice out here right now, but it'll get hotter back on the track here. A lot of these guys, though, really not interested in running in the rain here. It would be fun. It would be interesting. Some would have a clear advantage, but if they could run this race dry, I think most of the teams would be happier with that. Maybe except for the teams that have an only chance to run in the rain and win a race.
Again, a reminder, at the end of each stage, points are given out to the top 10 finishers of each stage. And so we look at the most points earned today from the first 2 stages.
Yeah, look at Boyer, Byron, Johnson. All those guys are in a tight battle to make the playoffs. You look at the playoff points. It's Byron and Johnson have a little different strategies this second stage, Steve.
Yeah, you and I are in a debate. I like the fact that Jimmy pitted before the end of stage 2, didn't get any points, but got track position. You had some concern. We don't know who's going to be right. We're going to have to see the other 28 laps, but only 14 points separate the teammates down there on the red line. And I have to say, you know, we talk about fuel window around 20 laps, 28 to go, 27 to go when they come back by. We're hearing some teams will come to pit road, Martin Truex Jr. being one of them because of fender damage. So I'm not going to say anyone could just go 27 laps under green, but if we see some crazy restarts and a bunch of cautions and, you know, leave yourself an opportunity.
One thing that we didn't mention when we were looking at the playoff standings there is what could throw a wrench in it. The guy running third right now, Michael McDowell, if he comes up and wins this race and wins a spot into the playoffs, that moves everybody down. And so that is a big variable that these drivers are going to have to think about. Want to listen into the one radio of Kurt Busch.
How many till we pit? As far as when we take the green, how many seconds? Right at about 10 is realistic.
So there you go. That's kind of what I was wondering. They'd say 10, so they want to get to 17, 18 to go, be inside their fuel window. So the whole idea for the race fan, perhaps tuning in to see, you know, maybe his first road course race, he's watched some NASCAR before. These laps are so long that you can pit and get back on the racetrack and not lose a lap. The advantage is if the next lap, by just luck, the next lap the caution comes out, everyone who hasn't pitted, they're going to pit. You stay on the racetrack, and it's like the winning lottery ticket. You get to just drive up to behind the pace car, and instantly you have all that track position. So that's the gamble. You know, if you're a great car like Chase Elliott, you may not want to pit too early, as we see the 51 get pushed off here to try to get refired. But if you're mid-pack, you may gamble and pit a lap too early or 2 laps too early. Try to do something, right? Throw the dice.
Y'all mentioned Michael McDowell with a shot to upset the playoff field with a win today, and just before that caution come out, you guys, the 48 was driving up through the field and passing Michael McDowell. So Jimmy Johnson winning could change the bubble battle quite significantly. And I think he has the speed in that car to do it. He lost a lot of speed with some damage that you see they've repaired, and it seems that that car is back up to how he was performing in that first stage when he drove through the field into the top 5.
Let's see who, as they come out of that front stretch chicane, who turns left to come to pit road. There's one taker. I want to say Eric Almirola, William Byron. So Almirola was 14th. And as we have seen in the past, that drags almost everyone behind him. That's actually a good break for the 19 of Truex. They may be able to do some service and not lose spots. Dylan.
Eric Almirola, one of the cars opting to pit, was running inside the top 15. Kind of been running in that 10th to 15th range all afternoon long. Fairly happy with the race car, but a wrench in the left rear for a chassis adjustment for Almirola.
19 of Martin Truex Jr. told us they were going to come to pit road. Remember, they had that speed penalty at the end of stage 2 that gave up all their track position, and then while trying to gain that track position back, damage to the left front of that car. That's the main reason they're on the pit road now. The saw they love so much at the 19 car. No, it doesn't go into effect. Teased me there with that saw. Now it goes to the hammer instead.
They just carry that thing over there no matter what.
I tell you, it's exciting for sure. Martin Truex Jr., they want to hurry because there's a lot of cars on pit road. Parker.
Well, Kevin Harvick also coming down pit road. Remember, he spun through the grass there, had to make an extra pit stop and put him all the way at the back. He's not very happy with the car. Just talked to him before he got in. He said he's really loose through the corners, and that's why they're doing all these adjustments right here, as you see Kevin Harvick taking their time to get those adjustments in here at Daytona Road Course. We'll be right back.
Today's aerial coverage brought to you by Geico. Let's get some reports before the green flag flies from pit road. We start with Parker.
Well, Rick, you know, I was walking down pit lane after this red flag was lifted, and the drivers were back in their cars next to Denny Hamlin. He had his phone. What was he looking at? SMT data. He was watching laps being run on his phone and what he could do different, a recording the team had sent him. You know, with no practice, that's one thing a red flag like this allows you to do. You can go up there and look at some of the things, how to get better, Dylan. Maybe he will be faster.
Eric Almirola has had a solid day so far, a solid last few weeks, top 10s in 10 of the last 11 races. His confidence is up. They want to try and finish this thing off well today with a good finish.
Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch making up row 1. There'll be 26 laps to go from Daytona in the road course. Back underway. Michael McDowell in that 34. Jimmy Johnson in the 48, making up row 2 as they break into turn 1.
Look for Jimmie Johnson to be real aggressive right here. Junior, you mentioned it. He was actually to McDowell when that caution came out. He wants that spot right now quickly.
He's still there. Oh, he locks up the tire trying to stay out of the back of the one car. A lot of contact with the guys there. Everybody getting into that corner just a little bit too hot. Everybody gets through okay, though. But that right front tire, that 48 locked up, and now here he is trying to maintain that 4th position.
Kyle Busch trying to jump on the outside of the 48. He got side by side.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether Brad put him in the grass or not, but it looks like they got through there okay.
Through 5 on their way to 6.
This is a hugely important corner.
Here's Jimmy pushing hard down into turn 6 on the inside.
That's going to hurt his momentum on this front straight, on this back straightaway.
He's got the shorter route, and he's going to stay on that inside. This is the Jimmie Johnson that we usually tend to see try to go out there and win championships. Now, over the last couple of years, he's made a lot of personal mistakes on the racetrack. Here he is again in position to win. Look at Kyle Busch.
Also trying to get by McDowell as they go into the bus stop on the backstretch.
Kyle Busch trying to win his first race this year. Hasn't been to victory lane yet. You know he's pushing hard. Jimmy?
Look how much Jimmy has caught Kurt already.
Jimmy drove right up to the back of Kurt Busch in no time. Man, that 48's got great speed.
See what he does right here. Both swing out to the wall, get themselves lined up to heavy brake.
This is for 2nd.
And just a lot of contact as you watch everybody go through that chicane. A lot of bumpers banging.
Clint Bowyer took advantage of that situation. He's actually underneath Brad Keselowski.
Here comes the 18 of Kyle Busch, closing the gap on Jimmie Johnson.
Clint's on the move right here.
Yeah, doesn't give Denny Hamlin any opportunity on that outside. Denny has to give up the spot or the battle, the opportunity to stay to the inside here in turn 3.
Michael McDowell, everybody knows how good of a road racer he is, but he's disadvantaged because all the drivers believe they have better cars than Michael McDowell has, so they're not going to cut him any break at all.
And I think that break in the action helped those drivers. We heard Denny Hamlin looking at SMT data, other drivers talking to their crew chiefs. You know, a little break in the action to improve what they have to do behind the wheel to help their speed. Dylan.
And Steve, talking with John Klossmeyer, the crew chief for Clint Bowyer, he's made the point a couple times today, even on the radio, as we see one car off there in, it looks like maybe the horseshoe, but Johnny Klossmeyer, the crew chief for Clint Bowyer, made the point, hey, we want stage points, but the biggest thing we want to do is finish where we run throughout the day. It feels like they can run decent, but don't have the finishes to kind of back up those kind of runs they've had. So as we get down closer to the end of this race, going to be important for Bowyer as he tries to lock himself into the playoffs. Don't do anything silly here to throw away what's been a really good day already as he battles here with Michael McDowell for the 5th spot.
McDowell blocked him down the back straightaway.
He sure did.
Clint wanted to get on the inside of him, and McDowell said, I'm not having it. It's my spot. You want it, you go around the outside.
Some drivers react differently to that, Jeff. Some guys really don't appreciate it when you put that move on them. Difference of opinion.
Well, with 25 to go, I think that changes your opinion as well. Coming to the, a couple laps to go, I can see defensive driving. But before even the final pit stop of the race, I would be a driver that would probably lose my cool a little bit being blocked this early.
Yeah, we heard Cindric yesterday in the Xfinity race complain about it, being blocked on the entry to turn 6. Let's see Nemechek and Preece.
John Hunter Nemechek in the 38. The 23-year-old goes around here.
Just barely got into him. Didn't take much to spin that 38 around.
Look at this, Kyle Busch getting by Jimmie Johnson.
So Kyle is up to the 3rd position now, and he's chasing after his brother, which happens all the time, it seems like. As of late, Kurt and Kyle both running nose to tail now.
I mean, Jimmy's car fired off on this restart, but now it seems like the pace is starting to drop on that 48 car with Kyle going by.
Kyle's entry speed.
Well, look at the bottom left-hand side of your screen. The 19 of Martin Truex Jr. up 10 positions with still 24 laps to go. William Byron also up 10 positions, storming through the field at a racetrack. Very hard to get through traffic. They know they have to kind of try to stay in touch with the leaders if they want to have a chance as the laps wind down.
Chase Elliott's out almost 4 seconds on this battle. Dave, what do you have on the 1?
Remember the 1 and the 18, the brothers running together. When we talked to the driver of the black number 1, Kurt Busch, earlier this week, he said it's interesting how we've developed a racing relationship over the years. We've really started to treat each other like teammates. Let's see if that happens here. Yes, they're very gentle right here. But the other funny thing was, he said, we started having the same likes and dislikes of the race cars. Maybe that's why it's so close right there, Rick.
Yeah, they said the tires, you know, they have the same feel for the tires as these two fight for the second spot. Kyle Busch trying to get by older brother Kurt.
All right, Kyle's going to try to maybe go into this corner low. He's not set up to get the braking done in a straight line and have to overslow the car a little bit there. He's going to back up the corner and try to get out of this chicane with a better run to be able to head into turn 1 with the opportunity to try to pass.
You back up the corner. That's just simply slowing down on corner entry to try to help your corner exit.
There it is.
He goes diving into 1, a little bit lower than his brother. And Kyle Busch, the preferred line. Can he take second away? He does. So Kyle has taken second. You're not going to miss a thing as we go NASCAR nonstop.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we're not going to leave anything on our plates because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
We could tell you all about Mother's Back to Black aerosol, but we'd rather show you. It's the effortless way to deep, rich blacks. Mother's Back to Black, now in aerosol.
Daddy, what's that big moving house thing?
It's a motorhome, Junior. Modern invention.
Modern invention? We carried our homes with us since, like, forever.
Yeah, but humans have Geico to protect them. Something goes wrong, they're covered. What do we have?
What could go wrong? Ooh, a feather.
A feather. Duck, Junior!
That's no duck, Daddy. That's a vulture!
Geico for RVs. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Get extra napkins when you order a hot and juicy Quarter Pounder. A normal amount of napkins just won't do. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Give everyone something to look up to. The all-new Highlander Hybrid. Toyota. Let's go places.
The second half of the season. This stretch of road has always been tough. You've got to earn it every week. And this year, it means even more. NASCAR on NBC and NBCSN. The best racing is now.
The stages are set for the most unique quarterfinal event in Got Talent history.
Like nothing you've ever seen in 15 years.
AGT, Tuesday on NBC.
Great racing here. We want to take a look at today's Xfinity fastest lap. Chase Elliott, look at this. And Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick's fastest lap came on lap 43. Kurt Busch, his fastest lap on 41.
Well, we talked about how none of these drivers knew the racetrack. I'm actually more surprised we had a couple guys that did it on lap 2. They prepped for this race, and their fastest lap is only the second circuit. As we see that 95 still has that splitter damage you talk about. Look at that right front, way up off the ground, not slowing down Christopher Bell.
Oh, the 2 cars missing the chicane. It's going to have to come to a stop here.
Got to come to a full stop.
All the way stop.
And he drug that.
And go.
That will slow you down.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he drug that right front or if that's just brake smoke.
He was up inside the top 10, running in the 9th position, and Keselowski does that.
We've seen turn 6 be huge in passing. Look what Jimmie Johnson does right here. Look how low he is and how much just shorter of the racetrack he uses. Has better rear drive. He's not turning. He's able to leave straight. We're going to start seeing that more and more, starting to see drivers get really low in that part of the racetrack.
Castrollo, remember, is behind the wheel of the 3, subbing for Austin Dillon because he tested positive for COVID-19. He is running right there with the 19 of Mark Truex Jr., Parker.
Right, and Brad Keselowski actually goes to pit road after having that issue through the chicane. The team had come on the radio and said pit next lap. So he was basically planning this, puts them right at the edge of their window seat. We talked about around 20. There are 22 laps for most of these teams to be 4 Goodyear tires. They've just been the right rear and Sunoco fuel for the 2 car.
Saw this in nonstop, the 4 of Kevin Harvick.
It looks like he dropped the right rear tire off the edge of the racetrack, trying to get a good high entry into that corner, and
about 6, 7 more.
A little bit broken pavement there just got him. Parker.
He also came on the radio and said that the car got knocked into neutral there, Junior. So I don't know if you could hear it or not on that replay, but he came across and said it was odd. The car just knocked into neutral, and he obviously was free rolling at that point, didn't have any engine braking.
Yeah, use the engine to slow you down, to decel and slow the car down, and if you knock it into neutral, you're going to fly into the corner and need the brakes to slow you down. They're not going to be able to do it all.
Yeah, let's go right along with Kevin Harvick on a replay. Once again, just listen.
Yeah, it looks like it's in gear to me.
Yeah, I was waiting to see it as well.
I just think it kind of near hard and a little bit off the racetrack. Great battle right here. Denny Hamlin and Clint Bowyer have now went around Kurt Busch. These two guys are moving up through the pack together. Not by design, but they're both moving forward as they try to close in on Jimmy Johnson. Clint's a great road course racer. Dillon.
Joey Logano, and remember, they are trying to rebound and get back on cycle here from pitting, or from not pitting at the end of stage 1. They've gotten back on cycle. Joey not saying much about the balance of the race car. 4 tires and fuel for Logano.
So we've seen 2 Penske cars, the 2 of Brad Keselowski, the 22 of Joey Logano come to pit road. This time by will be 19 to go. Rick, I expect in the next 2 or 3 laps, it's going to be very, very busy on pit road.
Not only that, Steve, but this final change that you make to your car, that's it, most likely. It better be a good one.
You discuss something with your driver under red. He went out and tried something different. The track is cooling. Car's driving different. As Denny Hamlin drives underneath the 14 of Clint Bowyer, we see Kevin Harvick come to pit road. There's that shortcut. Denny Hamlin runs the apron, and look how much time he gains on Harvick. Parker.
And you see Kevin Harvick come down pit road. This is just the 3rd stage has not gone to plan for them. They've been spun out, had to fight back from that, and have to come back down pit road again. Here after that latest spin puts 4 Goodyear tires, and he's away.
So the big question is, you know, when do you come to pit road? How good is your fuel mileage? How many other cars have already pitted? We keep watching the 9 of Chase Elliott put down unbelievable laps. This track is so big, Rick, even from where Kevin Harvick pitted, he will not lose a lap. The leader is still over on the front stretch.
'95 car, Christopher Bell having a great day. Had a little trouble down here in turn 6. Gets into the corner, braking, and locks up the rear tires, spins himself out.
How many times are we going to say trouble in turn 6?
Well, but guys, I want to bring out a statistic here that I think is going to surprise everybody. We've had 3 cautions so far today. None of them have been for an incident. It's been the 2 stages and the lightning. Did we think coming into this racetrack where nobody has ever run before that we would have no cautions? And we'll go down to Dave from this pit stop.
Kurt Busch nearly had an incident, but he wanted them to detect left rear damage for him and also give him some water. Already he's feeling a little bit hot inside that 1 car. You see down below, the 34 of Michael McDowell is on pit road as well. He'll get 4 fresh Goodyears at Sunoco Fuel to the end. They drop the track bar on that car. That should make it a little bit freer in the left-handers.
Hey, Rick, you mentioned no yellows. I think the Cup driver's a little more experienced, and they've had the ability to watch the first 3 races of the weekend, and I think they've learned where their trouble spots are, because we have seen cars be spun around. Or Jeff, you keep mentioning turn 6. Luckily, turn 6, no real barrier, you know, that's had a problem.
Here's one of the trouble spots. Look at this. That's Stanton Barrett. Stanton Barrett is actually a stuntman, Hollywood stuntman, race car driver. But Stanton Barrett goes through the grass there, and NASCAR has said the penalty if you miss the chicane that way is just going through the grass. That's penalty enough.
You're serving the penalty as you're going off track. Yeah, I'm surprised that we haven't had any major yellows, considering how badly guys have missed this chicane, particularly right here. But I think as these drivers start to push more, we could see some of those problems happen where guys are, tearing their cars up through the grass.
That's the key. At some point, you're learning the racetrack, and then you're being patient. Well, then the trophy starts to get in sight, and all of that goes out the window.
I think the reason why we didn't have any problems at the start of the race, these guys got experience. They know to win, they have to be there at the end and be in one piece.
And Jimmie Johnson just doesn't seem to have the speed that he had. Look at that on pit road, aggressive on the pit road here. This change, we talked about it, Steve. It'll be big for this car, this team, because they were not as good as they needed to be. Dylan.
7 straight finishes outside of the top 10 for Clint Bowyer in this 14 car coming in. They knew this road course would be a strong run for them. They feel like Clint's great at saving his equipment, doing what he has to do to make it to the end of these races, running inside the top 5 right now, Parker.
We saw Jimmie Johnson veer left onto pit road there. The team telling him you're beating them everywhere except in turn 1. Do not arc into turn 1. They've told him that twice. As of now, it's going to be 4 Goodyear tires. Sunoco fuel for Jimmie Johnson.
Rookie Tyler Reddick is on pit road. He'll just take fuel to get to the end, make it a quicker stop here.
It was just on pit road 11 laps ago, so they feel that the tires are good enough. Try to leapfrog a few people. Didn't need a lot of fuel, so they can have a much shorter pit stop.
Let's go back and explain that report from Parker Kligerman about Jimmie Johnson being told not to arc into turn 1. What that means is don't stay out so late against the wall before you turn. Go ahead and get the car turned, get to the bottom sooner. They're seeing on data that other people doing that are making better time.
And with Reddick, why is that change or that pit stop for no tires in their strategy not a surprise? They are the team that's willing to take a gamble. They have that technology back at RCR that's telling them the strategy to use, and they're willing to gamble and go with that.
As all this continues, Chase Elliott continues to lead 8 seconds over Kyle Busch, 10 seconds over Hamlin. Truex up to 4th, 15 seconds behind. What's 15 seconds look like? Well, there's Chase Elliott right there. Kyle Busch comes in the picture.
Chase Elliott, he's hitting pit road.
Yeah, pit road now for Chase Elliott.
Think about the lead he has. Do not speed. No mistakes.
Mistakes is what I think about. Remember, that's how Truex got behind, was speeding on pit road.
And here he comes to you, Dave.
Chase Elliott pits leading. Remember, they needed a boost. They've been down a little bit. Chase said this week that they were off. Alan Gustafson confirmed that to me today. So they'll take on 4 tires and fuel and try to win it win here at Daytona. Dylan?
Oh, and so maybe some problems here for Kyle Busch. He came in and said he felt like something blew up, and the crew just gave the "we're done" signal. So some drama here for Kyle Busch as they examine the right rear. We'll follow up on that, but they did change tires, trying to figure out the issue on the 18, Dave.
Hamlin gave up 3rd place and is on and off of pit road with fresh rubber.
You see right here, they say it's broken, it's done. Something in the right rear. I don't know if it was. Well, let's see if we pull it.
It was on a mechanical failure. Can we get a rotor on it or no?
It was on.
It's a brake issue, guys. Brake rotor issue on the 18.
All right, we talked about this under red flag. These cars had sat. They got all heated up, worked, and then they sat, cooled down, perhaps cracked. It sounds like this is a car that's had braking issues. Let's listen to come to pit road. Oh, no, he doesn't even make the chicane.
He's trying to mash the brake pedal. There's nothing there.
Which tells me if you fail a rear rotor, then that rotor is gone. When you step on the brake pedals, you see the fire. That's brake fluid, I'm sure. The pads come out. No braking. No way to stop the car. Adam Stevens says it's mechanical because the crash clause. If you have a mechanical failure, take all the time you need. Unfortunately, with 17 laps to go, his chance of winning is over. And his awful 2020. This is the champion who has yet to win. Today was looking good.
Reigning today. Yeah, reigning champion, 113 points above the cut line. But would you ever think that you would have to mention the cut line and the reigning champion for the Cup Series? I mean, that's the crazy part.
Well, think about today. Not a single car has fallen out of this race. Yeah. So most likely he is looking at a last place finish.
Jimmy Johnson, another driver we've talked about with that cut line. Right now he is 17th overall in the point standings, and they take the top 16 to the playoffs, so he's outside.
Yes, he is. James Small, the crew chief of the 19, and Martin Truex Jr. We mentioned they're trying to find a way to get that lost time back from the speeding penalty. Well, this is the gamble, because if the caution comes out, everybody's already come to pit road. But the 19 has stayed on the racetrack, and he is running the fastest laps of the race, lap after lap after lap. This is a little bit like Formula One style, right? Let everybody come to pit road. If you feel like you have the best car, you just, as the crew chief, Dylan, you're there running that 19 as hard as you can as we see more pit stops.
Eric Almirola in a little bit slow on the right side for the 10, but they're around to the left sides now. 4 tires and fuel, and looks like maybe a piece of tape on the grill, Parker.
Ryan Blaney in as well. It was 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel for him. Still struggling a little bit under the brakes in that car.
And Dylan, I hope they pulled a piece of tape off of the 10 of Eric Almirola, because the steam was rolling out at the base of the windshield. It was running hot. So Almirola is making his way back out onto the track with his Go Bowling paint scheme. Martin Truex Jr. is out front. 77 once again. Stanton Barrett struggling through the dirt.
A Busch Light update has finally arrived. Meet our newest product. Busch Light Apple. The crispness of Busch, the light sweetness of apple flavor. It's like the sound of refreshment meets the taste of the orchard. Busch. Get them Get them while they're cold.
This summer, we've all got miles to make up. Miles to the job site, to the campsite, and anything else we set our sights on. Miles back to those who can make this summer mean more than ever. We can help you get the most out of those miles during the Ram Summer Clearance Event.
Right now, get $7,300 in total values on the 2020 Ram 1500. Shop and buy online at ram.com.
You can't afford to fail. On the road, on the job, off the grid. So get to Advance. Get the advice you need. Get the part you need. From the experts. Fast. Without fail. Advance how you get help, how you get answers, how you get parts. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts.
We could never do what they do, but what we can do is be a partner that never quits. Verizon is the most reliable network in America, built for interoperability and puts first responders first, giving their calls priority 24/7. We do what we do best, so they can too.
Indy 500.
This could be stacking up into an all-timer.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Expect anything different?
The St. Louis Blues are the Stanley Cup champions.
NHL first round playoff action tonight on NBC. Game 3 between the top seeded Philadelphia Flyers and Montreal Canadiens. Best of 7 series. It's right now tied up at 1. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you're watching Go Bowling 235 at the Daytona Road Course. There are just over 14 laps now to go, and Kaz Grala is leading right now, but he has not come to pit road. Right now, Chevrolet looks great. They've got the top 6 spots locked up.
Yeah. Are we leading this thing? We are.
Yes, you are.
Water temp.
Congratulations, you are leading in your first ever Cup start, the road course. You see right here the 388.47 all on lap 38 was on pit road. Look at this slide right here. Oh, be careful. did all right. They were last on pit road at lap 38. That's a long ways. They can't stretch the fuel. They may choose to have a quicker pit stop and take fuel only like we saw with Reddick, but Chase Elliott is the first guy on fresh tires running 4th. He can make it to the finish.
This is basically once we cycle the battle for second between Jimmie Johnson and Denny Hamlin.
Chase Elliott still will hold the lead after everybody cycles through. He's running 4th right now.
Jimmie Johnson's car takes off with a lot of speed, but seems like he falls off a little bit quicker.
We mentioned Martin Truex Jr. was running those really fast laps. Well, unfortunately, when he came to pit road, that left front's just slow because of the fender damage. Gave up some of that time. He's back in 14th, hoping for a yellow.
.37 up in front of them is Ryan Preece. JTG Doherty, 2 entries. Ryan Preece, one of the 2, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is the other. Preece currently running in the 5th position. All right, it's time to go through the field, brought to you by Sonic. Let's start with Dave.
Though we assume he'll be pitting soon. What a nice day for Kaz Grala, the 21-year-old from Boston. He's run 7 Xfinity Series races for Richard Childress Racing now in his career and had a couple of nice top 5 runs. That got him the standby status. And when Austin Dillon was diagnosed with COVID, he was the man on duty. First start is going well, Parker.
And the man chasing him down right now is Alex Bowman in that 88 car. Spoke to him before the race today. He had a lot of optimism. You know, he's run so well at the Roval. He said, road courses maybe aren't my favorite, but I've gotten good results. It hasn't shown up here today, though. Really struggled to speed in that 88 car.
Here comes Chase Elliott. That 9 car is just 4 seconds behind the leader who has to pit, and Bowman we would assume as well. What a comeback now for Chase Elliott, who needs a win. Hasn't had one for a few weeks. I'd like to see that happen this afternoon. Parker.
Right behind him is his 7-time champion teammate Jimmie Johnson with a full-on effort trying to make the playoffs and fend off that 11 car of Denny Hamlin. The team came on the radio and said, your drive off is better than him. We're going to cycle out second here. Go get them, Jimmy. That's what he's doing right now, Dave.
Denny Hamlin's trying to go get Jimmy, that's for sure. What a battle for this group right here. The 11 car of Hamlin has led today already, 16 laps on the day. A very strong car. Can he make it pay off at the end? We'll find out, Dylan.
Dave Clint Boyer continues his strong day running in the 6th spot. The team had this one circled once they knew that it was going to be one of these Roval-style races. They know Clint runs well at similar tracks, a track like Sonoma where you have to save your stuff, short tracks as well. Clint saved his stuff perfectly in a really good spot right now as he runs 6th.
Look at this. Denny Hamlin once again cutting down along the apron, really the exit of turn 6, shortening the racetrack. Tries to get by the 48, but here comes the crossover move. Jimmie Johnson working back on the inside.
We know Jimmie Johnson will drive down in the corner with him. He's not just going to relinquish this spot. Denny, he's just faster. A little better braking.
Yep.
Carrying more speed on corner exit.
You called it, Jeff. It's really, you know, when I'm looking at lap times and speed, the 48 is one of the best cars on new tires. He just cannot seem to keep the speed in the car as the run progresses. Here you go. 2 cars come to pit road. The leader, Kaz Grala, and the 88 of Bowman. Good job by Bowman. Get right to his rear bumper.
That's going to cycle Chase Elliott to the lead. It's going to bring Denny to 2nd, Jimmy to 3rd, Boyer to 4th, McDowell to 5th.
And the drivers you just mentioned don't need to come to pit road for the rest of this race. So now it's a fight on the racetrack.
12 laps to go, and Chase Elliott doesn't want to see a caution. He's had a great car all day long. He's going to have a very large lead over Denny Hamlin, over 10 seconds.
How about Chase Elliott? I mean, remember when he won that Roval race, he drove it into the tire barrier. Remember that? And he had to come back from that, and he drove through the field like so much faster than everybody.
Chase Elliott, a licensed pilot, the son of Bill Elliott, $1 Million Bill, and back at their hometown, they still ring the siren for the win of any of the Elliots, which right now it's Chase Elliott going for his 3rd straight road course win.
Chase Elliott's crew chief Alan Gustafson graduated 8 miles from the track, so it's an important place for him in his life and his career. is a crew chief.
And winningest road course crew chief of all the active crew chiefs. He knows how to get around these different corners.
Yeah, he's gave Chase some fast cars here on these road courses. Chase has done some great work keeping it on the blacktop today.
I hate that Martin Truex Jr. had his issues just because I think we would get another epic battle like we saw at Watkins Glen that one year. As you look right there, 10 starts and 3 wins. Truex is back in 5th, consistently running 5/10 of a second faster than Chase Elliott. He was almost 20 seconds behind after the pit stop. Rick, if you can believe it, he's running down to 12 seconds behind. That's 8 seconds taken off under green.
So I was going to ask, is there any way without a caution that these guys can catch him?
There's no way.
They can't catch him, right? He's 12 seconds in front.
Yeah, I made a mistake, but I think the reason that Truex is running the 9 down is because Chase Elliott knows to go ahead and keep this thing on the pavement as we see the 18 of Kyle Busch rejoining the race. 6 laps down. That's great work. 6 laps to put a right rear rotor on the car. No thank you. That's a hot, thankless job to do.
But a 12-second lead. Now it's down to 10 and a half seconds. The gap with 11 laps to go.
Same for Chase Elliott right now. Clearly, without a mechanical issue, he's in great shape. But one caution, and it's a whole nother world. So it's easy when you're leading like that with a big lead to get complacent, but you can't let yourself go there. You got to stay fully focused.
William Byron getting by the 22 Logano for position.
It's that time of the race, right? We talked about the temperature. We talked about the unknown. We talked about learning the racetrack. Rick, all that doesn't matter anymore. It's 11 laps to go. Points are going to be paid. Trophies are going to be given. Checks are going to be handed out. What have you learned? What can you do? What adjustments have you made? Michael McDowell did such a nice job. I think his advantage early was his experience. Well, as these Cup stars get experience on this road course, that equipment that you guys have talked about really showing. William Byron with damage on the right front, running the 34 down to McDowell for 6th. I think he has the speed to get there. Logano kind of fading off the back of the 24.
Yeah, it's great to see the speed of the Chevrolets here, and we know that Chase won the All-Star race at Bristol. Going forward, the 1.5-mile racetracks, will they be able to find the speed that's been lacking there to be able to make a real push for the championship?
Yeah, and Jimmy up there running in the 3rd position puts the pressure on the 24 to run well, right? Because we talk about the bubble bow. William Byron sees Michael McDowell. He doesn't see McDowell. You know what he sees? A point. That's one more point. I guarantee Chad's on the radio reminding him 10 laps to go. Go get whatever points you can.
Well, remember, we showed the points earned earlier. William Byron had earned 11 points. Jimmy Johnson had earned 8.
Yeah, those two are on either side of the cut line as we look at it now. William Byron 25 points above Jimmy Johnson.
Little contact right there on the exit of that chicane. 24 to the inside now.
Every position is a point. So every spot somebody can gain is 1 point.
William does a good job. Slows the car down. Doesn't overrun the corner. He knows he's got pressure from behind, but he just took that spot from McDowell. Dylan.
And just to kind of echo what Steve just said, that's exactly been Chad Knaus's message all afternoon long. Hey, we need to finish well today. We need all the points we can get, because when we come back here in 2 weeks to finish the regular season on the oval, who knows what can happen then. So we need to rack up all the points we can today. They've done a good job of that 13 or 11 stage points rather today, and they run inside the top 10 and 6 there.
Remember, coming up, it's a doubleheader in Dover, and then right back here to Daytona, but not the road course, the High Banks, which anybody could get to victory lane on a wild race like what we've seen on the High Banks. He has been great, looking for 3 in a row. Chase Elliott out front, and the Zoom crowd cheering him on. Mr. H, Rick Hendrick, must be smiling right now as coming up on 8 laps to go. So Chase Elliott is out front. Jimmy Johnson's running 3rd. William Byron is in the 6th position. So 3 cars in the top 10 for Hendrick Motorsports. Joe Gibbs Racing has Denny Hamlin up in 2nd. Martin Truex Jr. is running 5th. And Eric Jones in the 9th position. Dave.
Looking at the leader, Chase Elliott, you were talking about Alan Gustafson, who grew up here in Florida, his crew chief. Had an interesting conversation with him this morning about setting this car up for the race. He said, normally we're trying to get hundreds of seconds by splitting atoms. He said this weekend it's more, he searched for a word and then said course. Well, the course decisions he made on this 9 car have been perfect for his driver, and they have tuned it well. He's currently 10 seconds ahead of second place Denny Hamlin, who, by the way, has been told to not overdrive the race car. 10 seconds behind, Hamlin was told you are not going to catch Chase Elliott at this point. So keep it careful. Be careful with the race car. Remember the accomplishments already today. Denny won stage 2. That gave him another playoff point. He currently ranks second to Harvick in that category, so 1 goal achieved there.
As we close in on the finish of this race, looking at the bubble battle, Byron and Jimmy Johnson, 26 points apart. They came into this race 26 points apart. Had a little bit different strategies on how to get those points throughout the stages. And man, that's got to be frustrating for a driver and a team with Jimmy Johnson running in the top 3 right now to come out here with a potential top 3 and no points gained on that bubble.
Jimmy Johnson, and he announced before the season started this would be his final season of racing full-time in the Cup Series. He's actually tested IndyCar, has hinted that he would like to try that, but doesn't really hint that he's going to run full-time in anything after 2020. A lot of people have asked, hey, you know, as crazy as 2020 has been, would you maybe come back and make next year your retirement year? Because a lot of the racetracks weren't able to really honor a 7-time champion, maybe one of the greatest of all time, to be behind the wheel of a stock car. And Jimmy has held steadfast. He said, this is it. You know, I've made my statement. This is going to be my final year, no matter how the year ends up.
And we've talked about, 95 or Christopher Bell backwards in the grass.
It's like turn 3.
Good right there. Clean them up. Good. No pressure here.
Okay, we were talking about Hendrick. You know, they, let's see what happened to the 95 all by himself, goes backwards. You know, they had all 4 cars in the top 10 at the Roval last year, and they have a chance to do it again. Alex Bowman had that flat tire early to kind of put him behind. Pitted a little bit later than everybody else, only 4 laps ago, has put some new tires on. His lap time's very impressive. He's up to the 12th position, and I think it's pretty conceivable he could drive himself into the top 10 here with 8 to go. So, you know, across the board, as you mentioned, Dale Jr., you know, the Chevy's up front. Well, 88, even with some bad luck, trying to make something of the day.
Well, in front of him is Kaz Grala. We saw them leading the race earlier. They had not pitted yet, but Kaz Grala in 11th. His first Cup race. No practice. Nothing. Just get in that thing. Go get you some. That's really, really nice work so far by Kaz Grala.
A lot of great, you know, we talked about McDowell, who's currently running the 7th position, holding on to that top 10. You know, another great run. When I look at Chris Buescher in 9th, I mean, this is a guy right here that he came over to Roush Fenway looking for something to kind of go his way. It's been an up and down year, more downs than ups. They have yet to have a lot of highlights to really hang their hat on, but this is a big grind, Rick, all the way up into the top 10, something for a young driver to hang his hat on. At this point, as you try to motivate a team, any sort of good run matters. And you mentioned no practice, Jeff, right? So now this organization can say, look, how do we prepare here? What tools do we use? We obviously know what we're talking about in certain situations. Let's try to get smarter. Now there's some new tires coming from behind, but regardless, with 7 to go, a great run for the 17 car.
And right behind the 17 is the 20 of Eric Jones. It was just announced he's not going to be back with Joe Gibbs Racing. So here's a driver that's really looking for a ride. He's auditioning right now for any team that's out there that needs a driver. And that's one of the hard parts about the Cup Series is you have 39, 40 of the best drivers in the world. They're not going to leave their, you know, jobs if they don't have to. But it was announced that the 20, Eric Jones, would not be back with Joe Gibbs Racing in 2021. So he now is looking for a job.
We've talked about him several times, but how about Michael McDowell? Just good to see him running in a top 10 in a Cup race. Michael McDowell puts a lot of effort, tries really hard, really good road racer. Good to see him having a good, solid day.
You know what, mate? Jeff, I look at it like this, too. Think of the pressure that this 34 car feels. They know that Michael's expected to run better here, right? So while that is a positive, you don't ever want to shake that. That's a lot of pressure. You know, the whole team knows they don't want to let him down. Drew Blickensderfer on top of the pit box, he's going to feel that pressure. He just wants to give his driver. I've always said the crew chief's role is to give the superstars a platform to show their skills. That's what Drew did today. He gave Michael McDowell a car for him to go out there and show the world that his driver has the skill to run up front in these races.
When we talked to the 35-year-old from Glendale, Arizona, he made the comment his expectations are high this weekend. So it's not just the team or everybody else. His expectations are high. He knew coming in that he could do something like this. He could run this well against the competition.
And you know what this reminds me of? You know, you were talking about, look at this gaggle of cars back here. You're talking about Cindric yesterday and how he may look more advantageous for a team because he can run well on the road courses. So I think Michael McDowell does bring that, Jeff, to some of these other cars.
Yeah, see that 21 car, Matty Benedetto. We talked about Jimmy Johnson and William Byron, how good a days they're having. Well, he's not having a good day. He got 6 points earlier, but he is currently running in 18th spot. Jimmy Johnson sitting there in 3rd, William Byron in 6th. If things don't change, Matty D is going to give up a lot of points today. Dylan.
And that's disappointing because they were really genuinely excited about the chances to maybe compete for a win here. Greg Irwin, the crew chief, talked about how much love Matt has for racing on these style of road courses. So they were running much further up the board earlier in the day and have just kind of gotten shuffled down and haven't been able to make their way forward. But definitely going to be disappointed with this because they really thought they had a shot to contend for a win and score some points to kind of get themselves out of the basement, so to speak, in the playoff standings.
Oh, hard hit, the 18 of Kyle Busch. So a caution has come out.
Yellow.
And that's not what the 9 team of Chase Elliott wanted, but it was definitely what the 11, the 48, the 14, the 19 all wanted.
Blew it apart. Right rear.
So they definitely have some sort of braking issue. Where that 18 car is wrecked is very odd location. It sounds like he had another perhaps brake failure. Oh yeah, there's something going on in there.
Like something blew apart in the right rear, I think. We were on the bank in there. They blew both rears out.
So let's take a look and see what happened with Kyle. Saw it be catastrophic. So the tire's coming apart. He's off the gas, trying to slow it down. It's into the fence just a little bit right there. Everybody avoids. But man, you can't drive that thing on much less one flat tire. Got 2.
That is odd, Steve. Both tires blew out.
Yeah, they have definitely a braking issue of some sort on this 18 car, and this issue for the 18 is opportunity for his teammate Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if something broke and he didn't run over that debris, his own debris or something with the other tire.
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, it looks like the track bar. Well, I can't tell if it's the track bar or the flat tires. Everything's busted on. How about that? It's not good.
I was going to say, guys, it doesn't look good.
You know, there's certain
times. You
times.
can say a tire, but it.
Yeah, there's certain times, Rick, you stuck trying to analyze what's wrong. I can just tell you there's a lot wrong with that 18 car out there.
Well, what does this do to the picture of the race? Going to bring Truex back into it.
Nobody comes to pit road, right, Steve?
Well, don't say nobody.
Not up front, though.
I mean, I don't. I think Chase Elliott has a great car. I think he was riding right there. Martin Truex Jr., this is exactly what he needs. He's not going to give up track position. We saw them pit late in the race in the Xfinity race, but there was just not as many lead lap cars and not as many fast cars. When I look at the top 6, 8, 10, they're going to stay on the racetrack. The question is, who is the guy that comes? Because if you're Eric Almirola in 13th, Kurt Busch in 14th, Stenhouse in 15th, you know, the last thing you want to be, Dale Jr., is the last car on old tires.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming if I'm any of those guys back there. Kurt Busch, he's in my fantasy lineup.
So you got to tell him? You want to?
Nice to come on down pit road, make a charge up there. But I think, you know, yesterday in the Xfinity race, we saw a lot more fall off, I thought. You know, over the tire run. We haven't seen quite as much today and actually see some really quick lap times late into the run. It might bring some guys in the back to the pit road, but maybe some of the guys on the front end stay out there.
What a crazy year for defending champion.
Yeah.
You know, this team, man, they just don't have the speed, they don't have the luck, nothing's going their way right now.
So Jeff, you know, as I see this 18 car limp around, I was just thinking to myself, why did Adam Stevens and those guys put a brake rotor on this car? They didn't hit me. Well, they don't have a win. I even forgot that he doesn't have a win, right? So he cared about points. He needed to come out here and try to gain points. Now, ultimately, it didn't help him, but you have to keep fighting because Rick, you questioned it earlier. Do they have to worry about making the playoffs? You know, if they have a win, I bet they don't repair their car. And right now, Chase Elliott's still cruising around with a 10-second lead. So it's funny how these things can fall the wrong way.
99 points now above the cut line for Kyle Busch. And as I mentioned, you get a, and remember we come back to the high banks here. You get somebody that wins that's not in the top 16 right now and pushes him down. He's close to not making the playoffs.
I think we got to remember, after today, there's 3 races. There's 3 races and about a 40-point lead on that bubble line going into Daytona is going to be the only thing that'll make you comfortable.
Yeah.
All right, so the question was pit stops, right, Dale? You said you definitely wanted Kurt Busch to come and help your fantasy lineup. Yeah. Well, let's see who turns left. It's right here after the chicane. Denny Hamlin fakes. No dice, no dice. Oh, wow. Joey Logano says, I'm going to get tires. How many will he draw?
Logano's 7th. He came in from 7th.
Oh, I don't know if I like this. I didn't see a lot of guys come with him. Dylan.
Yeah, there was some debate, but they opted to come down. So changing right sides right now and a little hiccup on the right front, which is not what you need here. They'll go around and change all 4s, add some fuel as well for Logano. Parker.
Erik Jones also chose to pit here, and I agree with you guys. I just don't think we were seeing the fall off that you're going to be able to drive to the field with these new tires. But Erik Jones, this 20 team, are hoping that to be Ford Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, Dave.
Michael McDowell's about to have some fun. He's got 4 new Goodyear tires. But when Denny Hamlin and his team discussed in the 11 car whether or not they would come, they noted the number 34. That's how many cars were on the lead lap. And Steve, that's one of the reasons why you thought you might not want to pit.
Yeah, so it was hard to see exactly how many came. We're looking at our time in the scoring screen here. I don't know. I think maybe 15 stayed out. We'll have to let it cycle through. Man, that's just going to be hard. I love the call by Chase Elliott, Hamlin, Jimmy, Truex, all the right call. The question is, you know, who else made the right call? You see people like Stenhouse, Bubba Wallace there in the 43. You know, those fresh tires are going to be near their rear bumper. And I know it doesn't seem like much with 2 or 3 laps to go, but Rick, it's 4 miles.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of corners, a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, there'll be a minimum of 2 laps to go. Again, under this caution.
And they give him 1 to go over here in turn 6, so we could be coming to the green, I believe.
Well, guys, you heard Kyle Petty in Countdown to Green say he wondered who went to school yesterday. Well, one of the things that happened yesterday was this restart late in the race. Look at this chaos. Look at all of the action that went on. Everybody trying to pick up spots. I think everybody overshot the corner right here. And then look what happened after. In the grass, banging into each other. Cars damaged, cars out of the race. These Cup drivers have this on their mind. Look at this as we ride along. What are you going to do if you're in the middle of this pack? Where are you going to go? How are you going to try to make this work?
Yeah, this was a late restart, and the tension rises and the pressure's on, and we're trying to make something happen, and I think we're going to see a pretty spectacular restart coming up.
And why is turn 1? Check this out. Look at on the left. This is on a restart. Look at the speed. So on the restart, Logano's going 46, 48. And then look at him on the green. Look how much faster he is at the start-finish line. We're going to stop it. Right here, we're going to stop it. Logano, 142 miles an hour on the green versus 114 miles an hour on a restart. Junior, why does that make it so much more difficult for drivers?
It's muscle memory, and especially at a track where you have 0 laps, no history. You're going into that corner all day long, much, much faster. And then on a restart, you're going in there much slower, knowing how much you can carry, how much speed you can carry in there, how much later to brake. And if you slip the tire, it's slipped. You saw it yesterday. Once you slip this tire in the infield, you're going for a ride, and you'll be lucky to stay on the blacktop. So,
well, you talked about the restarts. Well, first it was the pit stops. You see on the left-hand side, everyone that chose to stay out, and there is a lot of them. 16 cars stayed on the racetrack. That means Joey Logano in 17th, Erik Jones in 18th with the last 2 cars. And there they are. You want to know what it looks like to line up 17th and 18th? Dead in the middle of this mess. So you just showed me the crazy highlights, Jeff. I have no idea what they're going to see out their windshield when they get to turn 1 right here, but it is going to be exciting. Up front, though, I mean, I think Truex has something for Elliott, Hamlin, Johnson. You talk about how great his car fires off.
Hey, Chase Elliott, Roval, restart?
Yeah.
Remember what's in his mind? Like, remember he overshot
Yeah,
it and
into the
drove,
barrier.
Yeah, straight head on into the barriers.
Denny Hamlin, though, has enough success this year that he has nothing to lose. He can take a gamble here and send that car on the outside of the 9 and try to get a good enough restart to be on the outside so he's only inside of turn 3.
Well, how about the second row?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Jimmy Johnson, he has a history of saying, I don't care about points. I'm going to go get some. Remember, he actually crashed crashed Martin Truex Jr. making that move. Had he just finished second, he would have made the playoffs. Decided to go for the win instead.
And Clint Bowyer's usually just so calm, Rick.
How hungry will they all be? As we get ready for the restart, it will be 3 laps to go from the Daytona International Speedway road course. Chase Elliott back up through the gears. Denny Hamlin. Here comes the 48. Jimmy Johnson with a good restart. Now a little shove there out of Clint Bowyer to the 11.
That was a great launch for the 9 car. He is very comfortably ahead here.
Who's going to give the 11? Denny Hamlin or Jimmy Johnson? Jimmy Johnson gave. That's going to give some run to Truex. Jimmy with the block.
Yeah, Truex had to give him a little bit of room there, cut him a break.
And Buescher in the corner deep, sliding that blue 17
yeah, he's
car.
on the outside of the 19 now.
That was a good move.
Chris Buescher all the way up to 4th.
Now he's going to be on the outside. Squeeze Martin a little bit. We've seen this outside work a few times, but Chris is going to have to do everything perfect.
Chris got a little contact from the 24 there.
A little slide out of the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. He blocks the 17.
Wow, these guys are doing a great job of taking care of each other, not taking each other out.
The top 3 have separated themselves. 4th, Martin Truex Jr. Back to 5th, Chris Buescher.
And restart did not work out well for Clint Bowyer, but it did work out well for Bubba Wallace. That's right behind him.
Yeah, I was worried. He stayed out on old tires, but Bubba Wallace doing a wonderful job on old tires, trying to stay up here. He's done a nice job now to give him a little breathing room. Kaz Grala in the 3 right behind him. Then the 88 of Bowman and the 47 of Stenhouse's. Oh, the 32 of Corey LaJoie gets turned around.
LaJoie around. He keeps going. We stay green. Denny Hamlin looked like he was trying to close the gap between the 9 and the 11. Now they come into a braking zone.
And you're right. He's right there. Denny Hamlin putting the pressure on. Chase Elliott is able to hang on to him for this lap.
2 to go from Daytona.
These two have a little history in late race action.
Chase enters really low.
Yeah, that was a major difference between the two drivers approach to turn 1. One way low, one much higher.
I think it kind of has to hurt the exit on the 9 car, but entering turn 3 here. And both those guys do a really good job getting down to the bottom of the corner.
The biggest threat right now is overdriving the entry of the corner. There's so much speed to be had by driving into the corners on road courses deeper.
Just waiting on one of these guys to slip a tire, lock up a tire. Another low entry for the 9 car. Denny outbrakes the 9 into the corner.
Every corner you drive off is better than him. He's pressing in hard on the braking zones.
That's the 9 car. Spotter.
That's great information, though. And it's great information. It's accurate information.
Yeah, Denny's pretty close. I mean, I thought the 9 car had a much better race car than the 11, but Denny's done a great job of keeping it close. And this ain't a sure thing for Chase Elliott by no means.
The key for Hamlin is to keep that pressure on, force Chase Elliott into a mistake. Every one of these corners is an opportunity for a mistake. Very challenging road course.
One lap, 3.6 miles. It's a lot of racetrack.
And we saw at Watkins Glen, it wasn't that long ago, where we said all Chase Elliott has to do is not make a mistake. Well, he wheel hopped going into turn 1 at Watkins Glen, but he was still able to fight off the challenge that the drivers were still giving him. Can he do it again? Can he make another perfect lap? He's got one more lap to go at Daytona. One lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank.
Drive off. He's burying it in all the braking zones.
And Denny Hamlin is close enough. If the 9 makes a mistake, he will be there. Big arc by the 11, trying to get to the bottom of this corner, have a straight drive off. And he's really wide right there. Doesn't really lose a lot, but he's pushing as hard as he can.
Yeah, he's just searching, trying to find something different, trying to find some speed somewhere. You see Truex underneath, Johnson behind him.
There's a car in front of these two. Will that affect Chase Elliott and the line that he chooses?
It's all going to be where they catch that car. Is it in a bad spot, or does he find way by without an issue? Oh, that is a bad spot to get by him.
You hope he just pulls over.
Yeah, he pulls over. Quinhouse going to pull over, get out of the way of this battle for the lead.
We've seen a lot of issues in turn 6 today. Very tough braking. The 9 does a nice job. Will he get a good acceleration off? There you go, Rick. 2 more chicanes to the start-finish line. Indy with a much lower exit, but that 9 car just really got out of turn 6 so much better. Able to put a good distance there. Chase is going to look in the mirror and feel like, man, all right. Got a little more comfort there between me and the 11.
Yeah, clearly Chase Elliott's a little bit quicker, but how about Denny Hamlin? Every week it seems we see him battling for the win.
Man, Denny drove it in there.
He did.
Way
He made it work. Going to get beaten on this exit, but Denny Hamlin with a big surge there into the rear chicane.
Earlier, we heard Mario Andretti talk about history and making history. It was a historic event today. The Cup Series running on the road course at Daytona for the first time ever. A big challenge out of Denny Hamlin here one last time. But trying to make history, the 9 of Chase Elliott, 3 road course wins in a row. He's going to win at Daytona. That is your checkered flag moment brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. How good is Chase Elliott on road courses? Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. both acknowledging what just took place there. Jimmy Johnson coming home in the 4th position. A good run for the 7-time champion, but not enough for what we saw out of Chase Elliott. Well, coming up next on NBC will be local news, or nightly news, except on the West Coast. On NBCSN, NHL playoffs, Vegas versus Chicago. He's done it again. Dawsonville will be ringing the siren. Chase Elliott wins.